What is going on, everybody? It is episode 514 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Today, the poll was asking you guys, have you ever used a dating app? And it sparked a big conversation, I can tell. So I'm excited to get into that later in the show.
Yes, we got a whole topic talking about the trend of the $500 dating app, as well as the fact that the youngins are just saying no. Just say no to dating apps, they say.
Just say no.
Just say no. It's
They're
like
worse
the DARE
than drugs.
program. Yeah. And with us today,
Hey, it's Coffee Lady, Sara.
The coffee merchant.
The coffee
you will.
merchant, back for another Wednesday.
I was waiting for like hey, this is Sara, but it's the coffee merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee Lady first.
So we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. It's going to be a fun one. Bad news if you were really stuck on the idea of Amber Heard not being in Aquaman 2, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you because it looks like she is very heavily featured in the movie, or at least a whole bunch of people on Twitter are saying that.
Literally, who cares? It's Aquaman 2. It is the last DCEU movie. Why do we care?
People care. They're arguing
No one
on
cares.
the internet. No, they do care though. They're arguing on the internet about it. So they do care.
Well, they need to get a life.
There you go.
Yes.
Tell them that. Get a life, guys. So we're going to talk about that. Also, there was a post from Jeremy Boring where he's talking about the trope of the fun TV dad and the fact that Hollywood is essentially saying that the idea of like a present father, like a guy who actually takes care of his family, is just a myth. It's this weird myth.
TV fantasy to shame moms
Exactly.
who plop their children in front of screens while they do laundry.
Yep. So we're going to talk about that. There's a great Bill Burr part about that, about women who they're always having to like pat themselves on the back. He's like, they need rotator cuff surgery from patting themselves on the back. He's like, lift with your knees and put the laundry into the machine that does it for you. So we're going to talk about it, about the fun TV dad trope. We're also going to talk about these dating apps, which apparently kids are just checking out from, but also it dovetails nicely with Tinder making a $500 version of the app. So, I was watching this South Park special last night about how they're trying to hook the kids on all of these apps that are clearly not for kids. And so it kind of comes to mind there.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about ballerina farms. If you have no idea what that means, don't worry. I have no clue either, but Mary does.
She's a ballerina who has a farm, if that gives you a hint, and she's getting a lot of hate because the internet is full of toxic people that hate family and they hate beauty.
Wait, so we've got one topic where they're hating the dads. We've got one topic where they're hating the moms. What the hell are we doing here? This is just depressing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, she's mainly getting hate because she did something that often happens on a farm. She killed one of her animals. Big shocker.
Yep.
So they're going to need to get helmets.
And then she ate it.
Yeah.
You can't forget that part.
What a horror.
So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. But before we get going, guys, would you hit the like button on this video? Again, I watched that special last night, and there's like every other segment, there's an influencer going, would you smash the like button? Leave a comment down below. Guys, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? I am officially part of the problem, as I said in my review, which will be coming out later. We've just passed 88,000 subscribers. I want us to get to 90K by New Year's. So if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. Share the videos with your friends so that other people can come in here and hang out with us. We want other people to come in and see these shows as well and see the segments. So share it out. Also remember, all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read that super chat right then and there, and then we will do our very best to get back on topic, scatterbrained as I may be. So if you ladies are ready, we will just go ahead and get started. Mary, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Sarah?
Last week...
Okay, we're going to go. So let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
No, I was just going to say, last week you did not ask me if I was ready. And you
were
just started
offended.
the show.
I basically
was.
didn't ask this time either. I asked and then just interrupted and said,
Too
well,
bad.
Too
You're gonna
bad.
have to.
We're gonna have to go. Too bad, ladies. Here we go.
Ready or not.
Taylor Swift produces 138 tons
Dang.
of CO2 emissions in just 3 months to go see her soulmate Travis Kelce. Who cares? Like you said earlier, who cares? Climate weirdos care.
It's the cost of falling in love, okay? Okay, so she owns 2 planes, and this is all from a report from the Daily Mail. In 3 months, she used up 12,622 gallons of jet fuel and produced 138 tons of CO2 emissions. And in order to make up for that, they say she would need to plant 2,282 new trees. to make up for all of those emissions. Or I found that her fans have theorized they can make up the difference for her on her behalf by going vegan. So one of the Swifties on Reddit came up with a strange theory to make an excuse for the fact that Taylor Swift's private jet has emitted more carbon dioxide than any other celebrity in the world. In theory, a Swiftie calculated that if Taylor Swift could get 70,000 of her fans, it's not that many, to stop eating meat, she could offset carbon emissions from her private jet entirely. So 70,000 Swifties are going to need to take one for the team and go vegan. It's not the best. No one wants to do it, but we have to make sacrifices for our idols.
The funnier version of this is Taylor Swift just starts like taking out 70,000 people to offset it.
She could also kill
Yeah,
70,000
it's
Swifties and it would also make up the difference.
It's that classic story of artificial intelligence, right? Like, how do we solve world hunger? She's like, look, if 70,000 people have to die so that I can fall in love, that's a risk I'm willing to take.
Genuinely, with the level of influence she has, I think that if she made like one social media post
Guys, do the
promoting
chicken game.
vegan diets, I bet more than 70,000 would instantly go vegan.
Dude, people would sacrifice.
No, I
themselves
think
for her.
70,000 people would try and fail. I think a lot of them would try and fail. Like, that is one of those things that you have to be drawn to that beyond just hero worship. I think that's a huge commitment. Or they lie about it, and because social media is all about external gratification, like, oh yeah, I totally went vegan, and then they post their pictures with their gross meals, but they don't actually do it. They go and have a burger
Right.
afterwards off camera.
Yeah, I think there was a poll once that was like 75% of vegans admitted having a burger when they were drunk.
So it's like smoking.
Something-
It's like a cigarette for vegans. They're like,
There's
oh,
also
I
like
only
vegan
did-
alcohol, because like a lot of beer isn't vegan.
Oh yeah, there's like
apparently.
fish something in it.
I don't know.
It's
It
like
sounds
some
kind of
kind
gross.
of- It's
Also, no, who was it? What was it? Halle Bailey or her sister that ate the burger
yeah.
that wasn't?
Yeah, and then she pretended she didn't know. She was like, "Oh, this tastes
Yeah. It's like
interesting.
when
This is good."
yeah, you eat like a whole plate of food from a restaurant and then you try to send it back after because you're like, oh, this
Yeah.
isn't what I
Look,
ordered.
I'm
I've
surprised she
noticed,
looks so healthy on a vegan diet.
There's a couple of things that are like dead giveaways to use socially right now. So it used to be the Ukraine flag. Then it was now it's the Palestinian flag, but it's also when somebody puts plant-based in their profile.
So plant-based is more of a red flag than vegan?
Plant-based just means that they're kind of annoying. Vegan means that they've made it an entire part of their personality.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about it endlessly. And that's fine as long as you're not shaming me for eating what I eat. I guess I don't really care.
Right.
But like it's interesting because we're going to be talking about this Amber Heard topic where it's like all the people that are supporting Amber Heard all have Palestinian flags in their profile. There's some overlap there, ladies and gentlemen.
Correlation.
Also, like she's keeping employees. Like, what about the jet? Like, what about her pilot? She needs to employ a pilot. What about his life? Like, she needs to fall in love, and this guy needs a job. And think of the air traffic controllers and the people who work at the private airstrips. She keeps a lot of people employed. That's her job. Her job is now to keep a lot of other people employed.
True.
It's and I like. Do you really think that 70,000 people would actually quit eating meat just because she made a post about that?
Yeah.
You think that? You think it would
Maybe for a
succeed?
limited amount of time. But I think more than 70,000 people would go vegan if she told them to. Yeah, I do think that. And I would say if Taylor Swift is contributing more to the climate crisis than I am, I'm not going to be the first one to eat bugs. I have to see Taylor Swift do it first.
Also, remember, like
Dare
she
you.
tried to. There was this whole conspiracy theory that she started dating Travis Kelce and went to the Jets game to subvert the headlines about Taylor Swift and Jets because it was a big deal with people talking about how she lends out her private jet to all her rich celebrities.
Yeah, I also, when I was doing research about our Khloe Kardashian conspiracy theory, I realized that when I searched Khloe Kardashian DNA test, it was all about her baby daddy.
Yeah.
Tristan Thompson doing a DNA test with his other child, so you couldn't find out if O.J. Simpson was her father.
There's a $20 super chat here from Corey Anderson. He says, Mary, you look gorgeous as usual. Whomever does your hair deserves a raise. Mary, you deserve a raise.
I am.
Brett, do rollerbladers do tricks other than grinding? Not hating, just curious. Hey, Coffee Mommy, you look beautiful as well.
How do you like that nickname?
He said, "Hey, coffee, mommy."
A little off-putting.
Yeah,
No,
it hits a little different.
I have the hot RV mom that I always talk about.
Yeah.
So hot RV mommy is but she's an actual.
But she's a mom.
She's an actual mom.
It's different.
But yes, there's a lot of rollerbladers that do tricks other than grinding. That's just, I grew up street skating, so that's the discipline that I was always good at. Heel rolls, toe rolls, vert are all things people do. Gaps. Like, you can watch whole compilations of ridiculous gaps that people have done. I grew up street skating, so it wasn't really my thing. But yeah, it is. I do recommend going and looking at it. It's a lot of fun. Look up Chris Haffey. Look up Chris Haffey. A lot of grinding and a lot of gaps. And there's a $20 super chat here from Cody Bedreau.
No.
I'm not. Am I going to read this one?
You decide if you're going to read it, Brett, because I'm
really
not.
make me want to hear it.
He says
but if it's too much.
He says
no pressure.
He says that him and his sister matched on a dating app right after a hard breakup with their previous long-term partners. Life has been perfect ever since. It's not a story I want to read. It's not a story I want to read.
We don't support you.
Thank you for that. But thank you for your support, Cody. Tell your sister I said hi, I guess. But yeah, so I think that there's the Taylor Swift psyop, and it's weird how people like her, like, she kind of has to care, right? Like the Kardashians and all these people who don't really have to care because it's not really like. Travis Scott doesn't have to pretend to care about CO2 emissions, because it would be weird if he did. If Travis Scott was trying to tell me that he cares about CO2 emissions, I'd be like, you're lying.
Right.
Nobody buys this.
Yeah. But Kim Kardashian did promote fake meat.
Yes, she did. The
ad
creepy ad
sponsorship where she noticeably did not take a bite out of the fake burger she was eating. It was cut perfectly straight, and she was like, this is so good. Yeah, we don't believe you. I am not going to start eating the bugs and living in the pod because Kim Kardashian or Taylor Swift told me to.
Do you think that, like, for a celebrity... Oh, we got another super chat here from Dubby Nanners. It says, I met my wife on a dating app when I was stationed on Pendleton. We have been married for 4 years and have a 3-year-old, but I understand the hate for dating apps when you use them for only hooking up. I love the success stories.
Yeah.
Good to
Well,
hear.
the thing is, the dating apps have a vested interest in people using them for hooking up, not for dating, because that means you're a perpetual customer.
That's
It's like Big Pharma.
Yeah. Well, there's also that great meme. It talks about, like, the ones that actually do cut themselves off from their customers. It's like cigarette companies selling you cigarettes that will eventually kill you. And then the other one is condom companies sending you something that will eventually not create kids to use more condoms when they get of age. So, you know. But yeah, so, like, for somebody like Taylor Swift, I just find it more relevant because she has this image that seems to actually imply that caring about the environment, all of these things, is a good thing, where certain
A
celebrities
goody two-shoes image,
but
if
that's
you
what
will.
she hates.
Does she say things about the environment? Is she like an environmental activist?
She's she seems more like on the women's rights. But these days, it's all the same thing.
Yeah,
like,
true.
She's a Taylor Swift activist. She
there's
doesn't
a-
really care about any of these issues unless they somehow involve her.
But I'm saying, like, you can usually these days, like, people are pretty predictable. Like, if they care
Right.
about one issue, they likely care about another issue, which is why the concept of TERFs is so off-putting to people, to feminists, right? Because they don't fall in line with the dogma that the rest of their ideology does. But a person who believes in radical fourth-wave feminism is also somebody who hears about the queering of education and climate emergency and all these things. It's all the same thing. It's all just closet Marxism.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she actually believes in any of that stuff, but I see what you're saying about how they all fall into the same category.
It's wholesome to know that at the end of the day, just making a buttload of money is what really matters.
Yeah.
That's what matters, guys. Remember,
I don't know if it's
they don't
wholesome.
actually... It's wholesome. No, it is.
Remember when
to me,
stupid Olivia Wilde, wasn't it, posted, like, I wish Taylor Swift would date a climate scientist so people would care more about the climate. Meanwhile, bitch, you literally dated Harry Styles. Use your influence for it then.
I would
nerd.
rather Taylor Swift ended up dating somebody that's just completely the opposite, like Michael Vick or somebody running a dog fighting ring, like
She like rehabilitates him.
do something that's actually not predictable, right?
Date that really handsome convict with that mugshot.
Yes,
that was going
exactly,
around.
right?
A mugshot.
Because
Mugshot.
everybody would hate somebody who runs a dog fighting ring. Take a risk. People kind of hate Travis Kelce.
Date Guy Fieri.
Yes, we should do that. We should do that. So
A Trump supporter.
so yes, he is a Trump
That
supporter.
could unite
right?
the country.
Yeah,
That
so-
may be just what we need, actually.
So Guy Fieri says that his sons won't get his millions of dollars unless they get multiple degrees, which is insane.
He's telling his 17-year-old son, who hasn't graduated high school yet, that he is not going to inherit any money unless he not only completes college, but goes to grad school and gets a master's degree. This is such a stupid mindset that I don't even know what to say to it anymore. Like, why don't they prove competence by running a business, holding down a job, doing things that actually involve being an adult, functioning in the real world,
It's also-
not being an adult daycare, which is what college and
is.
grad school has turned into.
And one of his sons grew up like helping him on the show, like worked behind the scenes and then eventually in front of the camera as well. So they have plenty of real world experience. But we still live in this bubble now where people believe that college is the only way to go, which it can be if you've got a plan. And you can work something out. Like, this is like one of those things that, what's her name from Linda from Mostly Peaceful Latinas has been talking about lately, that conservatives are telling everyone not to go to college. And she's saying that's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. I still believe that these days, in a lot of ways, you're probably better off unless you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer or something that requires like a higher level of accreditation like that. Going to trade school and learning these skills that are always going to be needed is important. It's why that South Park special made the whole bit about how everyone wants to be an influencer, but we need handymen and we need plumbers and
Says
we need
the
electricians.
podcaster.
Yeah. No, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone wants to do something like this, but the problem is there's only so much of a market for it. And one day, I will likely say something that will be so heinous, maybe by accident, that we'll end up getting in trouble, and I'll have to quit and go back and work a regular job again. I did like apartment maintenance before I did this job, which is probably has more real world value than talking about entertainers for a living.
True. But I tweeted about that before and basically said that college is a waste of time and you shouldn't be planning your life around that when you're a teenager. And a lot of people refuted me and said that, you know, it's worth it because of the connections that you'll make there.
That used to be
is
true.
not true anymore because if everyone is going to college, then it's not valuable anymore because you and every schmuck is accepted. If you're going to an Ivy League school, maybe that would still be the case, but you're not going to get into an Ivy League school anymore based on merit. You're going to get in based on diversity quotas or money, which maybe you most likely don't have to bribe them, or because you have a legacy. And that's just about it.
Yeah.
So again,
So
it's just not worth it.
But like STEM. Somebody in the comments says STEM's not a waste of time. Yes, yeah, you're going. You're
No, I
always
don't
going
think
to
that
the-
is a waste of time.
So, like I said, so a doctor, a lawyer, STEM, these things that require elite certifications to do the
Right,
job.
right.
That makes sense. You're always going to need those jobs. But like I said, look at the scandal that's going on with Claudine Gay at Harvard, right? Has very, very little in the way of actual academic credentials and has been criticized heavily. Even the people who criticize her the most aren't even using the claims of plagiarism as much because they're saying plagiarism is so common in college. But the sheer lack of actual publishing, right? They say publish or perish. The lack of actual publishing history and any merit behind her hiring makes you wonder, like, what are you really going to be able to achieve when they're determined to keep certain people out and get certain people in?
Right.
There's a great old skit where who is the lady? Somebody in the chat will know who I'm talking about. There's where Thomas Sowell debates a woman who on the discussion of affirmative action, and it's this really, really great back and forth where like and at the very beginning he's like he talks about how bad how bad it is to be part of affirmative action, and the ladies he's talking to says, well, I was a part of affirmative action. He goes, oh, I'm sorry for you. Like, he's like, why would you like that? Like, why would you want
Right.
that to be true, right? But that just proves that even back then merit was already starting to not matter, right? Like you can coast by on the illusion of power and success that these universities bring you, which you can do even to this day. The institutions have been built in a way where if she hadn't been sued because of what happened, not even in America, or if she hadn't ended up in front of Congress, not even because of something that happened in America, but something that happened, Israel and Palestine. Like if that hadn't come to pass, this might have never happened. She never ends up having to testify, and none of these things ever comes to light. You can coast on very little these days if the approved class likes you, if you fit the right demographics.
Right. I went to school in Santa Cruz, and when I was there, I remember like it wasn't necessarily the easiest school to get into, and I remember like friends asking me to grade their essays, and some of them I was like, I didn't say this to them, and I said it nicely, but I was like, how did you get into college? Because of those diversity quotas. Yep. It doesn't do them any favors, let alone the school or other students.
What's even sadder about that? If you really think about it, it's just everyone makes fun of the dumb jock who gets in on scholarship and ends up going for what does the jock always go for? General sciences,
general studies. It's literally what Travis Kelce's degree was.
Like it's like going to college on a scholarship, but without like the actual sport that you're really really good at to get you to go.
Yeah.
Right. I was watching an old episode of Rizzoli and Isles where this lady who worked for an ex-boyfriend baking cakes, and she's like, what? She's like, I've got student loan debts. I went to school for gender studies. And then she's like, oh yeah, I could see that as being a problem, right? Like you get a fake degree, there's no job for you, and then all of a sudden you have to worry about competing with Guy Fieri's kids for graduate school performances. And what do? You just end up online bitching about it and complaining.
Well, if Guy Fieri's children take his advice, they might end up at a college where they are taught that Willy Wonka is a racist white savior.
Yeah, did you know that? So this is the definition of modern day like college, right?
This
says
stupid.
University lecturer. Yes, speaking of stupid college stuff, university lecturer Wonka is implicitly racist, has remnants of the book's racism.
Misha Lohman, a lecturer at New York State's Binghamton University, says that Wonka has racist remnants of the novel's past, and she complains that the main black character takes a back seat to the protagonist. Wow, it's almost like a supporting character takes a back seat to the protagonist because they're not the protagonist. But
this is the rabbit hole you go down here when you induce any type of, whether it's race Marxism, cultural Marxism, into these things. There's an endless amount of things that you can bitch about.
Oh, exactly.
If all you're looking at is how things differ, who has the most screen time. What is that? The USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative will write down the exact amount of time a character spends on screen and then compare it to other ones. And it'll be like, this character, dash, or and then in brackets, white. This character, black. This character.
And their gender, too.
Yes, yeah. So, and then, of course, it's very easy to spot problems where there are none, because that's not how art works.
Well, she describes herself as a specialist in decoding hidden meanings and dark reality in kids' books, which just means that she is a joy killer.
She's looking for all sorts of hidden messages, things that aren't really there. It's
she brings up a problematic past about the origin of the Oompa Loompas, because in the original book they were described as tiny miniature pygmies from the deepest, darkest parts of the African jungle where no white man had been before. And it was implied that Willy Wonka smuggled them a la slavery to be his slaves at the chocolate factory. And then later they changed it after the NAACP complained and said that their skin was rosy white and they came from Loompa Land. So even Roald Dahl bent the knee to these activists back when this all began. But she points out parallels with slavery and calls Wonka the great white father who reinforces the Oompa Loompas' subjugation.
You know what we need?
What?
We need CRT or Marxist dentists to come in here and have something to say about Wonka and chocolate and be like, well, it it affects the teeth of black children more than it affects the teeth of white children. So therefore, Wonka is racist.
They're also really mad that Donald Glover didn't play Wonka instead of Timothy Chalamet, because she says at least that would have begun to force a rewrite of the original novel's racist narrative.
See, but that's the thing. She's admitting, she's saying the quiet part out loud, right? That what they really want is to shift the culture. They don't care about about taking the story honestly and actually trying to do it justice. All they want to do is shift the culture for the sake of not even real wrongs, perceived wrongs, written by somebody who is making claims that, if we're being completely honest, probably say a lot more about her.
Well, this lady is white. And by the way,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
It bears mentioning that this woman is white and she is hired full time to complain about white people and racism.
And is suggesting that they rewrite history. So just erase the original Willy Wonka and erase like the whatever racism was in it. I didn't know that Willy Wonka was racist.
Western society will be destroyed at the feet of liberal white women. It will.
The awfuls.
The awfuls will bring about the
affluent white female liberals.
Like the amount of guilt, and not just guilt, but also unbelievable conflicting moral superiority. Guilt and moral superiority smushed together will bring about the end of Western civilization, because it does not matter until you're down to the last person. They will let this go on because they see nothing wrong with it.
Well, woke white ladies have this particular conundrum with white guilt because they believe themselves to be the beneficiaries of racism who also put in zero work to the founding of this country and its original sin. Like, at least the white males put in work to build this country, and they perceive that the white women just rested on their laurels. So now they have twice as many reparations to pay. And she also noted that she found similar problems in Dr. Seuss, books like Peter Pan and Mary Poppins that perpetuated racism as well. Here's a quote from Wonka that she cites as white saviorism. Wonka says, "I know things haven't been easy for you. They're going to get better." Noodle replies, "You promise?" And he does promise, highlighting his role as her white savior. So because she is an orphan, she must be saved by the white man.
The movie would have been so much more based if he's like, well, it's not going to get any better. Deal with it.
Honestly, it's kind of weird because they related to each other because they were both orphaned.
Yes.
So he's not in any better position than she is.
But if both lost their mothers.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're white and you do something heroic, it doesn't matter. You're just a white knight.
He was also enslaved in the movie.
Yes.
By other white people.
Yes. Yeah. It's really funny because me and Mary didn't think much of this movie, but like I do think it's a movie you can bring your kids to. I think your kids might enjoy it if they don't watch, if they've never seen the Gene Wilder or the Johnny Depp versions. I think it's a pretty wholesome movie. But while we were watching it, all I could think about was like, this was actually a movie. Like, look, her character was fine. It was the singing in the movie was, I didn't like the singing in the
barely
movie. Barely
tolerable.
But
I'm not into musicals, though.
This is a movie that was perfectly wholesome, perfectly something that you could bring your family to. They're like, people who criticize our take on the movie, somebody said like it was like, you can't get past your ideological bubble. I said, there was nothing, quote unquote, that I saw that would have been defined as woke in this movie. I just didn't enjoy it. This is a perfectly wholesome movie to bring your family. But even if you're making a perfectly wholesome movie, people like this lady who are joyless and have nothing to live for will come through and tell you that, like, it's one thing if she comes in and she says the movie's bad. I didn't like it for this reason. But instead you're looking for stuff that isn't there, and that's not honest. It's just Marxism.
Right. And she just wants the merits for it too.
Yes.
You know, like, it's easy at this point. It's not creative. And the original movie, from what I remember, was also extremely wholesome.
Yep.
And it had a very deep message. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember, like, if you actually pay attention to what Gene Wilder says and like some of his speeches, it has a very deep meaning to it. And
these are the type of articles, and this is the type of commentator that these casting producers are thinking about when there's apparently a new Agatha Christie adaptation coming out where they race swap the main character and they do the whole spiel where they talk to the person who runs the estate. It's like a great grand something or other, and they're like, Agatha Christie, she would have wanted this. Of course, nobody knows whether that's actually true or not. Who the hell knows? Other people who are like know her books really well, I guess scholars on her literature are like, no, she wouldn't have wanted this. But then you have this endless argument back and forth. Well, the person who wants to swap things is doing so. The studio's doing it because they want the points, right? They want the brownie points for doing so. The person who's allowing it to happen, who runs the estate, wants the money. They don't actually care, which is why I'm starting to believe I don't actually disagree with the idea that like maybe your properties shouldn't be allowed to be adapted after you die.
Only if you're smart enough to request that
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
I definitely know that Tolkien wouldn't have wanted what happened to Lord of the Rings with Amazon.
But it's so easy for the people to be like,
series.
oh, I remember. He would have loved this. It's like,
He might not have even liked the Hobbit movies.
Yeah.
I bet he wouldn't have liked that.
Yep. There's a $20 super chat here from Gordon Shumway. He says, it's actually a fact that more than 30% of the world's chocolate is picked by slaves. I just recently found that out. I saw a video of a professor doing a discussion with college students about it.
I guess that does mean that Willy Wonka is a racist white savior.
So we're going to get like the Wonka 12 Years a Slave. We'll get that movie next.
About the Oompa Loompas?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't even see Wonka chocolate in stores ever. Like rarely ever do I see a Wonka chocolate bar.
Need a golden ticket now. Need to get some golden tickets.
Wait, it was a real chocolate bar that you could buy in stores?
Yes.
It wasn't just a movie prop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right, guys. So, just another example of why everything in Hollywood is so awful, right? Awful. See, there you go. Awfuls.
Yeah. The next thing on the docket is new allegations. All the news is just allegations, allegations, allegations. Well, the next one is some people believe Rachel Zegler was groomed by her boyfriend. If you didn't know, she met her boyfriend, Josh Rivera, on the set of West Side Story, Steven Spielberg's reboot, and he was not her love interest in the movie. Ansel Elgort was, and he's been canceled for his own reasons. But people have pointed out that they have an age gap of 5 years and like some odd days, and that's problematic in their opinion. When they met, Rachel Zegler was 18 and Josh was 23. And according to some, he groomed her because she was cast when she was 17 and he was pushing 30. They say that 23 is now pushing 30. This person named Elmo on Twitter says she was cast when she was 17 for West Side Story when he was already pushing 30. He is awful. And they also were on the Hunger Games prequel movie together. Tom Blythe was her love interest for that movie. So they've been working together. I think it's a cute relationship origin story, to be honest.
I love that it got community noted.
Yes,
like
it did.
Context.
It said Josh was 23 and Rachel was 18 when they started filming West Side Story. They started dating 2 years later when she was 20 and he was 25. The couple is 5 years and 2 days apart in age. Saying that Josh was pushing 30 is an extreme exaggeration and quite arguably misleading. Yes, and one person thankfully did rebuke this person for saying so. Pushing 30, he was 23 and she was 18. If you think a 5-year age gap is weird, then fine, but genuinely lying to make it seem like he was almost 30 and hitting on a 17-year-old is just gross.
By the iron law of half your age plus 7, she falls directly into the 18 and a half.
Brett had to pull out the calculator.
So she'd have to be 18 and a half. So you might have missed by 6 months.
So he's a creep.
Yes, the math, the science has spoken, ladies and gentlemen. The math is official, and he's now considered a creep by the laws of half your age plus 7.
I guess according to Twitter stands an age gap of 5 years. A 20-year-old dating a 25-year-old is now grooming.
23, yeah. So yeah, this is
For once, Rachel Zegler is a victim, not because she claimed it. It's because other people think she's a victim.
She's like, I'm not a victim. They're like, yes, you are.
Not this time. She's like, wait. Yeah, I was surprised to see this. I think the discourse about age gaps has just gotten more and more mentally ill.
You know why that is, right? Is because it's a very easy thing to try and shut someone up and target them with those discussions. Because a couple that's like what you said, he was 25 and she's 20. They're both adults, but nobody wants to end up with like that word. Thank you. Thank you, Ian.
What is?
That's Ian doing his impression of a punk rocker.
Okay, nice.
Because then you get a bunch of headlines that list this dude's name in the word groomer, and that's a very dangerous
well,
thing
I haven't seen it catch on, thankfully, because it's just so obviously bogus. But yeah, that is the aim. And the allegation against Ansel Elgort that I mentioned, I totally forgot about that. But you said that he was accused of essaying a 17-year-old girl when he was 20.
Yeah.
Even that, like, I'm not saying, obviously, if he assaulted someone, that's awful. But the age gap there isn't the primary issue.
No.
It is a 3-year age gap. If that. That's not an age gap. Also, like, aren't guys in their early 20s considered to be mentally teenagers anyway? Or is that out of date?
I take offense to that.
You're not in your early 20s, though.
The thing about Ansel Elgort's really interesting because he's one of those people who didn't lose work, right? Like the allegations for him came right during Me Too. And it did not really affect his work because he went straight into Tokyo Vice 2 years ago, right after all the allegations came out, and he didn't seem to suffer from it at all. It really just seems like the media picks and chooses who ends up getting vilified for these things. Articles were written, but it never seemed like any of them caught the traction that it did for other actors.
Like Armie Hammer had far bigger of a hate campaign against him.
Yeah.
Because
he wrote texts about cannibalism.
Yeah, well,
I love the audacity of somebody who's just like, yeah, just say he's a cannibal. They're like, well, I mean, that's not really what happened. He made text messages.
It's kind of like more
fantasies.
lame and boring than that. Yeah. He like wishes that he was a cannibal and isn't. And I do think he is contemptible for having such degenerate sexual proclivities. Yes, but that doesn't make him a rapist by default.
Where does a fantasy like that come from? Like, can you even blame that on like pornography? Or is that just a special weird fetish?
People who feel like they don't have any personality traits, so they have to make BDSM one of them.
We should invite him on the show and ask him.
That's the only way to know.
So those cannibal texts.
What did you really mean when you were saying you wanted to consume another person? Like, what did you mean?
But these chicks were into it. You can look at the screenshots of the text messages.
Really?
The chicks were equally as much into the same weird shit.
So it was two consenting adults?
Look, the girl said that he raped her, but then in screenshots from after that happened, like 14 months after the alleged incident, she texted him this long paragraph, sexting him, and he replied that he wasn't interested. And that's when she decided to sue the guy. So
she's like, I hate it when my rapist doesn't text back. Yeah.
And she also wouldn't sign an affidavit confirming that any of it happened. So her lawyer, Gloria Allred, dropped her in response.
Really? Okay, so he was painted as like a monster. I had no idea.
His wife left him.
All the other stuff.
There was these articles that like, here he is working in a hotel. Like there was these do you ever saw that? So like he was staying at this
I
hotel.
don't know if that happened.
And then he wasn't, but there were articles written. They're like, down and out Armie Hammer has to work in a hotel to survive because his family cut him off because of his proclivities. Because he would have been the heir to the Arm & Hammer fortune, like family fortune, right? So he comes from money, but they cut him off because he's a pervert.
Did anyone end up watching that stupid docuseries about his family?
I don't know. I don't know if any. I mean, I heard some people talking about it because, like, what did they say? His dad or his grandpa was called Stalin's favorite capitalist, and Like his family has deep political ties and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's certain people that would have found that interesting. I'm just fast forwarding, like, where's the cannibal stuff? Where the hell is the cannibal stuff? Where's the part where he eats people? I want to see the part where he eats people.
See, if you're raised with inherited money and a silver spoon, you kind of don't have many personality traits. You gotta pretend to be this BDSM freak to look more interesting.
It's why like if you're ugly and famous, it doesn't work the same way. Like the thing is if you're ugly, you have to develop a personality or learn how to be funny. I didn't learn either, but supposedly when you're ugly, you're supposed to learn how to be funny or have an interesting personality. But if you're famous or rich, if you come from money, you don't have to do that because the money becomes part of your personality.
So nobody told him that.
No, apparently nobody told him that.
He was scrambling to find a cool.
I actually saw something. It's really funny because I just saw something in the news about him really recently, and I was shocked by like how normal of an article it was. It had nothing to do with whatever was going on.
There was no byline about the allegations. I guess he's come out on the other side.
It says he's returning to. It talks about him. Shares cryptic passage about annihilation after abuse allegations. He's back on Instagram. Makes joke about the landmines over the last couple of years as he comes back to Instagram. The thing about that type of thing is now yours is he never gets to read the comments again because every comment's just gonna be like, whatever, cannibal. Whatever, cannibal. They're just calling him Hannibal Lecter for the rest of his life. That's what that's what he should do. When they make another Hannibal movie, they should hire him to do it.
Lean into it.
Yes.
Army, yes.
Like just if they can remake Red Dragon, or they're like, look, we couldn't get Mads Mikkelsen to do the character of Hannibal for a television series again. We got Hugh Dancy. Do you want to come in and play Mads Mikkelsen's Hannibal? He's like, yes, I do, because I love to eat people. He should do that.
That's the next step for him in his career.
But it really is one of the... this is the one that I was talking about. It says, Timothée Chalamet calls Armie Hammer allegations disorienting, revealed that with an email that Tom Cruise sent to him. So there was they were talking about it. There was a bunch of these headlines that were softening all the stuff that was said about Armie Hammer. So he could be working his way back into the spotlight at some point. And eventually people's attention spans are so short that one day they're going to be watching some movie and they're going to be like, did he hurt someone, or is this the dude? Is this the guy who liked to eat people? Crazy.
Well, Timothée Chalamet played a cannibal in that movie, Bones and All, so I see where his sympathies lie.
There you go.
Don't think I don't see you.
All right. That's not the only breaking news that we had today. There was this from yesterday, was there not, Mary?
Dom Lucra posted breaking news: over 170 clients of Jeffrey Epstein's high-profile list, the flight logs, I assume, will be named in court documents set to be unsealed in January 2024.
There's nothing I trust less than this list coming out.
Samesies.
Everyone's
all hyped about it. I'm like,
there is not an ounce of evidence to suggest why you should believe that any of it. It's gonna be like Ben Shapiro, Donald Trump. They're just gonna put names on there,
yeah, it's gonna
right?
be the names of the people who have the wrong enemies, and then if you have the right friends, your name will be conveniently absent from the list, even if it was on it originally.
Tom Hanks, like there won't be any of the celebrities that you think are gonna be on there. Maybe what they do is they put like one real one that everybody hates on there to make it feel legit.
There you go.
Right?
Whose name would that be?
They're not going to give up Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is too ingrained. Who could they get rid of?
Well, they want you to pay attention to Trump being on the flight log like one time.
Yep.
But someone asked, why not all? Who is choosing the names to be unveiled? Well, they don't want to reveal that because they are the clients.
I don't trust it.
Yeah, and the timing, like right before an election year, this is going to be a wild year.
I can't
honestly
wait.
It's all
that's
happening.
How we're starting.
Okay, guys, I have general advice for you. If you're on Twitter, you're on X, and you see the red siren emoji or any type of emoji like that, just breaking news. It's like the leastest, breakingest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. It means nothing. It's the same, and then it's like Senate hearing, so and so destroys big tech, and I'm like, let me guess, nothing's gonna change in like T-minus. Nope, nothing changed. Nothing ever changes. It's all the same.
Honestly,
This special that I watched last night, South Park, Not Suitable for Children, basically talks about how the tech companies, like, it's an open secret that they market all of these products to kids, but they claim that the age use of everyone is conveniently 22 and over. Like, nothing changes, dude. It's all the same. It's all gonna be the same.
If you're on Twitter and it's not for work, I suggest you get off Twitter. unless you work in that industry.
I tweet like once every couple of days, and I'm not an interesting person.
Have you gotten any ad revenue?
No, I don't. I'm not, dude. I'm not important enough to get ad revenue. You get ad revenue. I don't get ad revenue. Like, right? Or you're signed up to get like?
I get like $20 a month because I really don't post.
Twitter paying for your. Where do you go? McDonald's.
I used to.
It'll pay for my Taco Bell.
There you go.
I used to make ad revenue from Instagram when they had like the partner sharing program because of the algorithm was kind to people who posted regularly back then. But no, I don't make any ad revenue after. But I'm not an inherently interesting person. Like yesterday, I posted my list of movies that I liked for the year, and I managed to come up with 17 of them. And it's boring, right? It's like it's not controversial at all. I don't have any hot takes on anything.
There's probably way less interesting people than you tweeting and making ad revenue on Twitter.
Then they're faking it. They're pretending.
Well, what they're doing is
tweet.
just reposting TikToks and being like, "This is crazy." It's not original content that's making the most money.
Right. Yeah. Anyone can do it.
Well, yeah, and it's like there was the one the other day about the woman who says like it was like I don't know if it's N Wokeness that reposted, but one of them reposted the thing that said like mom pissed that school won't affirm her child as a cat, and it was clearly satire and but then like
But didn't that happen?
I don't know.
I think
in real life they like set up a litter box for her.
Yep.
Everything.
It's real.
So just that headline was fake. But that story did happen.
I'm never going to be interesting enough because I have at least a shred of self-respect. So I'm not going to be able to.
I remember there was a girl at my elementary school that insisted she was a cat when I was in 4th grade and she was in 5th grade.
But they likely
like
didn't
back
affirm
then,
her.
you would just be laughed
by her
at.
litter box. Yeah, no, there was no litter box involved.
Yeah, I do recommend everyone go and look at this South Park special that came out last night because it really does. It goes in on all of the people about the idea of influencers and the culture of influencers and and how it affects children. Like it really was made for Mary to watch. I encourage her to watch it. Except you're gonna have to look at Randy Marsh's dick. And
I'd just rather not do that.
Yeah.
What is it called? I didn't even know they had a new special.
It's called South Park Not Suitable for Children.
Okay.
And it's basically the art teacher at the school has an OnlyFans, and they have to have I won't give away a bunch of it. I'm not going to do that, but I do recommend everyone go and watch it. It was I would say that I chuckled at certain parts. I think the big joke at the end kind of fell flat. But if you're not into the culture war or you're not paying attention to these things, if you don't know who they're referencing when they call out someone Logan LaDouche, if you don't know who Logan LaDouche is,
I don't even know.
It's Logan Paul. Like if you look at it's Logan Paul, but he's carrying Craig energy drink.
I feel like this happened to SNL too, where this used to be a prime time slot that made jokes that could appeal to everyone, like a mass audience. And then it became something where they only wrote jokes for the terminally online or super partisan political junkies to laugh at. Yeah. And now South Park kind of went the same direction where you have to be super online to understand any of the jokes.
I don't watch the traditional show, like however often it comes out. So I don't know if maybe the traditional show is different and just these specials tackle those topics. Like, because they had the post-COVID one, they had the streaming wars, they had Panderverse, and now this. Those seem to be very specific, very online discussions.
I've been, it's on HBO Max, so I've been watching it recently now that I have access to it. And it does seem like, thank you, Brett.
You're welcome.
It does seem like on the regular seasons as well, it is very like kind of pandering. Like they had a MAGA episode. They had an episode about how St. Patrick's Day was like racist, and it is definitely leaning into the culture of the perpetually online.
Yeah.
We've got a $20 one from Dat Pie over there saying the WWE custom Slim Jim Nissan was stolen in high crime California. LA Knight lost his whip. Hashtag find fast meat. On a separate topic, are y'all ready for Kanye versus The Rock in the 28 election?
The Rock said he doesn't want to run. The Rock said he's not interested. He's got his kids. He's raising his kids. He's not interested in doing that. I would be all for like president steroids though. Like it would be hilarious. Like we already live in a ridiculously stupid world. It might as well at least be ridiculously stupid in a comical way.
It would be like Idiocracy.
Like
just like Idiocracy.
Like I want to see him like come to the podium and do the thing where he puts his arm up and goes Like,
I don't see Kanye.
Do you smell what the prez is cooking? Like,
I don't predict Kanye on the ballot in 28 either.
They won't even put Trump on the ballot.
Look, the debates would be lit if we got
Yeah.
Kanye, The
Oh my
Rock,
gosh.
Trump, and I don't know.
Vivek?
Vivek would be good. Like, look, I like Vivek a lot. He seems to make all of the right moves. Like saying he's gonna pull his name off the ballot seems like the right move.
I don't know.
So-
It's almost like too much the right moves, but I hope it's wholesome. And
Yeah, but-
Everyone is the Antichrist.
That's the thing though. Like now everyone's got their hackles up. Like they don't want to believe that anyone's good for them. Like even if he is awful, right down the line, I'm here to be tricked, right? Rather than falling into someone I know is gonna suck and then proves me right.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
what does
I'm
that
hoping
matter?
that he's just like naively optimistic, and it well, all works out.
Like Biden dies and like Kamala takes over and is like really good. Puts everyone like, look, she was putting people in jail for smoking weed. She's just putting everyone in jail. She's like
Cleans up the streets.
tough on crime. Like that would be hilarious. I'm ready for the plot twist.
I think every president just turns into a villain once they're sworn in, and the CIA has to debrief them on all of our national secrets.
They do.
Yeah, true.
There's
Or they
like,
get JFK.
"Ooh, yeah, I am really powerless.
It is like when they were talking about like when Trump and Biden were going the first time. Not to go off on a tangent, but they were talking about
totally
how like
are.
they're talking about them on like a cognitive decline, and they're talking about like how Biden looked like he was always being on looks like he's on Adderall or something like during
Yeah.
the debates. I'm like, I hope he is. I hope that when in like 6X and was like, look, I hope whoever gets sworn in, the CIA comes to the Oval Office the first day and just gives you all of the super drugs that aren't available to the public. Like that'd be a great movie. A guy who really wants just the greatest drugs in the world becomes president just so he can get a hold of all the stuff that you can't get on the street because it's
Biden
made by
needs
DARPA.
the limitless.
Yes, he does.
He does.
Yeah, he
He-
does NZT.
He looks like he's always just seen a ghost, but is trying to play it cool,
I liked it.
like play it off.
He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, let's. What would you ladies like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
You decide, Sarah.
Let's do cringe of the day.
Okay, we'll do cringe of the day first. Mary found this one yesterday. We didn't end up looking at it, but let's go ahead and watch this.
It's really
vow.
bad.
It's bad, ladies and gentlemen.
I promise to smack ass every chance I get. That's all I got.
Are you sure?
I didn't write nothing down.
That's what you're going out with?
That's what I'm going
All right,
with.
Cool.
We've made it this long.
Can you-
Guy gave him like 3 chances
like,
to save himself, and he didn't take
Dude, the-
one of them.
The officiator had more game.
the top comment says
guy.
being single is not all that bad. I promise.
Ugh,
Like it's.
so bad.
You see the people who have like the Star Wars weddings, and you're like, at least they have a shared interest.
Yeah.
It's like, I will be your. She's like, will you be my Padme? and at least there's some poetry there, right?
yeah.
I would say
my-
both are cringy.
I think someone in my family would have an objection. One of my brothers or my father would.
You
would
can
have
only
to
hope.
stop the wedding
They
right
would
there.
stop
Yeah.
you from going down that path.
The idea that he just didn't do his homework, like he's like
I forgot.
The better part is like they're calling it like he's about to go out to the altar and he's like feverishly writing stuff down and he's
On
like,
his hand.
his pen dies and he's like, damn it, but it doesn't look like he tried.
I like how that's the first thing that comes to mind too.
Yeah.
So I didn't write anything down. Instead of just being like, "I love you," I'm just gonna talk about your ass.
Well, I think today we're kind of we're conditioned away from sincerity, and maybe he would have thought it's somehow
Damn.
embarrassing.
If you're allowed to be sincere anywhere,
anytime.
it ought to be on that, like at the altar at your wedding.
Ironic. Look, it started with the ironic fashion choices at weddings, like the groomsmen who get the purposely bad suits and stuff like that.
Oh, and like, doing the whole Jim and Pam
Yes.
dancing down the aisle thing.
Snark and sarcasm have been part of weddings for quite some time, and millennials have a real problem with taking the world seriously, because when you take the world seriously, you can get hurt. Millennials don't like that because they realize that life is going to be long and arduous, and they're never going to own a home anyways. So why am I getting married anyways? We're never going to own a home. They just can't take anything seriously.
Yeah.
All right, we got some cute of the day. You guys have come through very, very big for us here.
Bigly.
Bigly, as they say. First here is from Rachel. It says, I opened this account just so I could share my PCC pets. Pictured is 10, the orange tabby, Peach, derpy face, Pabu, I think is the wreath, and Kato, often mistaken for a baby mountain lion. Let's go through these.
Oh, I love these stylized photo
Yeah.
shoots. Amazing.
Cute.
We're sorry that you had to create a Twitter account, though. Aw.
Wow. Okay.
Beautiful.
I like the ears.
And we've got one
His
more
eyes are
here.
striking too.
Got what? I like the dog tag. Got one more here. Also from Rachel, says another post because I couldn't fit them all in one post. This is Rescue Lab Ozark, who is a big snuggle bunny. Another picture of our crazy girl Peach and our snuggler Sunny.
How do you have this many dogs and cats? I hope you have a house big enough for all these animals.
That cat looks like it's silently judging you.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we are, let's see, ladies and gentlemen, 56 minutes into the show, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So, we are going to see Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom on Thursday. The movie's projections are not looking good. It's going to make about $40 million at the domestic box office opening weekend, opening under The Marvels, which opened at $46 million. It looks to pull in about $75 to $80 million overseas. It's not looking good for the movie. And another reason that's true is because what started going around on Twitter after early screenings started going up is people are saying that as much work as they did pulling Amber Heard from any of the trailer, making sure that she wasn't visible in almost any of the promotional material, she's heavily featured in this movie.
Yeah, Warner Brothers and DC are now getting accused of deceptive marketing for cutting her out of the trailers, when in reality, a lot of these early reviews are claiming she has just as much screen time as she had in the first Aquaman. The Quartering tweeted about this. He said, I regret to inform you that Amber Heard is actually in the new Aquaman movie a lot. Reports of her basically being cut out turned out not to be true. I wasn't going to see it anyway, just a piece of news from people who have seen it. George Alexopoulos said, sounds like DC shat the bed again, much like Amber Heard. And this review says, while Heard only had a few lines as Mara, I couldn't help but notice how the audience reacted whenever she appeared on screen, which I can safely say triggered a feeling of uneasiness that might have been because of all of the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard drama in the previous year. And she says the on-screen chemistry for Jason Momoa and Amber Heard from the first Aquaman movie visibly waned. That can be attributed to Jason Momoa showing up drunk on set, dressed up as Johnny Depp.
Well, that could happen to anybody.
Yeah,
he just dresses bohemian. That's what they said. He just dresses bohemian.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have happened to any bohemian guy in his 40s. Okay.
The thing that's funny about this is that they said that the chemistry waned. There was no chemistry in the first movie.
I didn't see it,
they,
so I
they
don't
have
know.
any
Yeah, I didn't
chemistry
see it
together.
either.
They have
But I
zero
remember hearing
chemistry
that.
together.
But if they had even a shred of it in the first movie, all of that was thrown out once the defamation trial happened, and Jason Momoa is buddies with Johnny Depp or sympathetic to Johnny Depp, so that must have been uncomfortable on set. That must have caused some tension between them.
And this isn't just from the Quartering. Like last night, Amber Heard is a liar was trending on Twitter, and I'm like, let us go and explore this. And what it was a bunch of people with Palestinian flags in their profile talking about how she's in this movie and like bragging about it.
Yeah, I also saw a hashtag called Only for Mara trending. So it's Amber Heard supporters that don't give a rip about superhero movies or DC or Marvel at all.
They're just
They're just
weirdly
going
partisan,
to see Aquaman 2 because of the chance that Amber Heard might be in it. And they say they're going to be watching hashtag Only for Mara.
Yeah, and they say like they don't want to see Jason Momoa at all. They're like the idea of watching Jason Momoa makes me sick. And I had an idea. So Marion told me a while ago about this app that you can get, that like this Christian app that cuts out sex scenes from like Netflix and stuff. Maybe they need to like tweak the algorithm so the Only for Mara people can just cut out all the Jason Momoa scenes, and then they'll be in and out of the movie in like half the time, right?
Not even. They'll watch like 3 minutes of Amber Heard's screen time, and that'll be that. someone who is supporting Amber Heard said, whoever said Amber Heard's screen time was cut from the movie was lying, because she's in the movie about the same time as Orm, who plays Aquaman's brother.
Yeah.
That would be kind of crazy, because this is supposed to be a bromance film where they're like almost co-leads.
In the trailer is the mom and the brother way more than like, look, and let's face it, if I have to choose between Nicole Kidman and Amber Heard, I'm going to take Nicole Kidman all day, every day. But yeah, like, and
why is that?
She's just a better actress. I'm not going to go into this movie and if Amber Heard does a good job in this movie, I don't care. Like, I have literally no, like I've said a million times lately, like, covering this stuff every day has just left me emotionally dead inside. And, like, I could watch a new Kevin Spacey movie, and if the movie's good, whatever, fine. I don't care. If the movie was good, the movie was good. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch her movies. Like, we're going to go see this because Aquaman is a superhero movie. It's big in the culture. But if this was that, what was it, the one where she's like a doctor
in the
middle of the Salem witch trials, I'm not going to go out of my way to see that just because she's in it. But the idea of going to see a movie just because this embattled culture war figures in it, like, I'm not going to do that either. I wouldn't do that for somebody like if a new Johnny Depp movie comes out, I'm going to go see it because it's good, because it looks good, or because we're going to review it, not because I care so much whether it's Johnny Depp.
Right. They're saying that Amber Heard was scrubbed from the marketing for Aquaman 2 to appease incels and comic fanboys, even though she is still a lead.
It's also funny too, because the first thing this made me think of, it's weird that we talked about Armie Hammer like just a segment ago.
Yeah.
When Death on the Nile was coming out, like in 2021 or 2022, it was like right when all of these allegations came out. And spoiler alert, if you're gonna go watch Death on the Nile, skip ahead for 10 seconds or pause the audio. Well, in that movie, he's the bad guy, and he's very much in the movie a lot, but in the trailers, he's in like less than one scene, and his name got dropped to like the third page of credits. So you had no idea that he was as prevalent as in this movie as it was, because they had to work around where the marketing was going, because his name was red hot, or like was off limits at that time. But the movie was already shot. There was nothing they could do about it.
Yeah, and same thing for this. But the difference is, not even people who care about DC movies or superhero movies or any of these characters want to see this movie. It's gonna flop regardless.
And like in the chat right now,
I just don't like that. Here's what's gonna happen: if people who don't like Amber Heard see Aquaman 2 flop, they're gonna say it's because Amber Heard is in it too much. If it does well, they're gonna say it's because she was cut out of it.
Yeah.
And people who like Amber Heard, if it flops, they're gonna say you didn't put Amber Heard in it enough. And if it does well, they're going to say, oh, it's because you increased Amber Heard's screen time.
Yeah.
Like,
both sides win either way.
Has she done anything career-wise to like have gained such a cult following, or is it just from the Johnny Depp stuff?
I literally only know her in the context of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, same.
But
I can't think of really any other movies that she was even in.
She was in an obscure episode of Criminal Minds where she plays an actress that's being stalked by someone.
What was her biggest role?
It would have been this movie. It would have been the Justice League, and it would have been Aquaman in her appearance in Batman vs Superman. She might have been cut out of the theatrical of, but then also in the Justice League and stuff like that. She has like a cameo in Justice League, but it was mainly her in Aquaman, and there really wasn't any chemistry there between the two of them. And as an actress, like, there's 1,000 actresses like her that are just as talented with way less baggage, right?
True.
Like, she maybe one day, if she had not had all of this stuff happen, she could have found herself at the level of, like, not even a Margot Robbie. I don't think she would have ever reached the level of a Margot Robbie, but she could have been who's an actress right now that's on the rise, or at least doing fairly well.
Jennifer Lawrence?
No, because even she's more like.
What about the Zegler?
Both of them have their own troubles.
Madeline Klein?
Yeah, maybe Madeline Klein, right?
But they weren't going to recast Mara.
No.
That would have drawn so much more attention.
Well, there was a lot of people who thought they were going to cast Emilia Clarke. They were going to recast her as Emilia Clarke, and all the fan art started coming out about that. And I would like to... I don't want to have to go to a movie and see a bad movie. Like, I'd rather the movie be good, but I'm also not, like, I'm not so entrenched in the culture war that I'm going to skip the movie just because a lady I don't like is in it, or somebody in the movie did something bad. If you were going to skip every movie that had somebody bad doing something bad in it, you would never see a movie.
Or what if you just don't keep up with the news and you just don't know?
Well, that's what most people are.
Right. It's assumed that because the internet exists, everyone has to know and keep up with the controversy of some obscure actress and pick a certain side.
Yeah.
It's not realistic.
And even that is so like, imagine like hitching your wagon to some millionaire who's never going to know who you are, never going to care who you are.
Yeah, that's why it really resonated with me when I saw this person say, in hindsight, why did people go so damn hard for Johnny Depp? Like, people were making it their entire personality.
Because it wasn't about him.
That they believed him and hated Amber Heard for it as if they were getting something out of it. It was the most unnecessary few months. There was no reason for people to act like that behind that old ass man, making edits and false claims for what? We talked about the trial because it's newsworthy, but I never understood having this personal allegiance to either one of them, because we're sitting here arguing about two Hollywood stars having like drug and alcohol fueled fights in their luxury homes.
Well,
like,
that could happen to anybody.
it doesn't have any aspect that relates to our lives, but people made it into a proxy war
For men
for
and
Me
women.
Too. It turned into this whole reckoning for the Me Too movement as well, and a proxy war between men and women. It felt very Battle of the Sexes and wasn't even about Johnny Depp or Amber Heard anymore, even though I do think that Amber Heard was in the wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't even really matter anymore. I don't think people, the average moviegoer, pays attention to this type of stuff. Yeah. They're just thinking, I saw the first Aquaman. I'm not really planning on seeing this next one because I heard they were just going to recast everyone anyway.
It's also it's also crazy too, because now we're seeing both of these movies. Aquaman made $1 billion, Captain Marvel made $1 billion, and now both of them are struggling to make $40 million in the opening weekend. It's just it shows you how far these properties have fallen. I listed my 17 movies that I liked this year, and I don't think any of them were any of the superhero movies that we like. Like, I didn't hate The Flash, but I wouldn't say that I liked it. It was a thing.
I hated it just for existing.
Yeah, but like none of the movies that I listed, at least not that I remember, were superhero movies. They were just other things that we watched this year.
I saw people saying like, how dare DC keep Amber Heard and Ezra Miller employed while Marvel fired Jonathan Majors? Yep. And they're just not comparable situations in any way.
Yeah. Well, was Amber Heard ever accused of domestic violence?
Yes, she absolutely. You mean like by law, or like
she was
accused?
Not.
Well, was she found guilty?
There's a very real recording of her saying, "I didn't punch you, I hit you. It's not the same thing." Which
she was loosely, accused of domestic violence, but she wasn't in a criminal trial for that. It was a civil trial for defamation, and a lot of people didn't realize that. And neither Ezra Miller nor Amber Heard were ever convicted for all of their allegations. Jonathan Majors was.
And Depp, and I guess in a way, Depp's case was a turning point for Me Too, where like now not every allegation is just going to be believed outright anymore. And certainly we're in that point now, right? Where like I hear anything. We did that story yesterday about Christian Keys, and I'm like, look, unless you're going to give me names and tell me what happened specifically, and tell me if you didn't go to cops, I need to know why. Otherwise, if it's going to be public, I don't have anything to say about it other than the fact that what do you want me to do? Right. Without any other information. Are you looking for I feel bad for you? I can say that. I can say if this happened to you, I feel bad for you, but I'm not going to make larger assumptions about society, men or women, based on vague assumptions or vague accusations about vague people that are not named.
Well, you should make assumptions about Hollywood based on what they're saying, which is that they're all degenerates.
Yeah.
And some of the things that Christian Keys was talking about weren't really crimes. It was just people being creeps and degenerates, and he didn't want to be part of that.
What if the opening scene is like Mara on a bed and everyone's just waiting for her to crap the bed?
Yeah, they need to keep her far away from the beds.
Oh no, I guess no, because the baby will end up having to crap the bed, so it'll be the baby. It won't be her. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Greg Duvier said, I have used a dating app. I also found my wife on a dating app.
There you go.
DCNC said Swiftie side. That's Taylor Swift. She's gonna wipe out 70,000 of her fans to make up for her CO2 emissions.
Could definitely happen.
Shane H. Wilder said, glad I'm not a Swiftie and don't have to give up meat except on Fridays. Now I want a steak.
Do one more and then we'll move on.
Shane H. Wilder just said, damn it, Cody. I agree.
Let's hold off and come back after the fact. All right, Mary, tell us what the hell is going on with TV dads.
Well, a critic at the New York Times, the failing New York Times, recently wrote a piece that was lambasting the most popular Disney Plus cartoon, Bluey, as well as the Daily Wire's new quote-unquote knockoff called Chipchilla that they have on the Bet Key platform, because they have boundlessly attentive fathers. This is called the fantasy of the fun TV dad. In the children's series Bluey and its conservative knockoff Chipchilla, boundlessly attentive fathers step in to assuage parental anxieties. They seem to have a problem with fathers that are shown to be engaged in their children's lives in kids' entertainment, which is just a very weird bone to pick. Why do they hate fathers so much? Why does Hollywood hate fathers? You know, I get confused about this because in all of my shows that I watched growing up on like Nickelodeon or Disney, usually they had single dads. Mm-hmm. They killed off the moms or just implied that she was out of their lives for some reason, and it was more anti-mom than anti-dad.
I will say...
Brett, you're not on screen.
Am I not?
You need to...
We're off right now. Yeah. I think a lot of it is also like the argument that most people are making is that it's an attempt to mix the culture, to change the culture in a certain way, right? And that's fair. I do think that there's a certain point where a less talented writer just sees a world where it's like you actually need better writers to be able to make more interesting stories out of like an idyllic family life. Whereas like a family life filled with problems and a family life filled with suffering, pain, and loss lends itself to more interesting stories, or like not interesting but easily told stories. The stories are easier to write there, right? The conflicts, the dad without the help of the mom, or the mom without the help of the dad, encounters new struggles and new things that they have to do that make content for them to make stories out of. Mm-hmm. Whereas writing for two parents when the household is essentially like actually functioning, mm-hmm. would require like more talented writers to be able to do.
Well, Bluey and Chipchilla are both TV shows that are written for like basically toddlers or kids under 10 to watch. And they don't really need to be introduced to all of these complex themes. It's just nice to see a functioning nuclear family mm-hmm. with both parents involved, where it has fun themes that aren't overbearing and political. Mm-hmm. And they don't try to get too deep, right? So this writer explains that in Bluey, the mom goes out to work and Bluey's dad, Bandit, is a stay-at-home dad mm-hmm. who he sort of is like a prop for all of their make-believe scenarios, and he's like constantly doing all of this, like playing with his kids. So he's like more involved than the mom is. But they said that Chipchilla changes the dynamic because their dad is their homeschooling instructor. And they say that he is there to reinforce a central male authority. I'm going to read here from it. It says, when I heard that Bent Key, the Daily Wire's conservative children's entertainment company, had created a transparent Bluey ripoff, I was curious what it would do with the dad. If Bandit is the idol of progressive fatherhood, what are the attributes and habits of his conservative doppelganger? Chipchilla copies the Bluey color scheme, animation style, and premise, with a few key differences. 1, the show is about chinchillas, not dogs. 2, the show is so lazy and pedantic, it feels like Wikipedia should get a co-writing credit. 3, the chinchilla children are homeschooled and the father, Chum Chum, is their instructor. He crafts play-based history lessons using silly voices and creative household items. He's a highly involved father and unrelenting jokester who rarely seems to have to work. Basically the same guy. However, they're saying that Chum Chum is the male authority because he teaches them about dead white guys and the classics. So they play out the fall of the Roman Empire or Moby Dick.
Well,
or
maybe
all
that's
of
why.
these.
I mean, like, you can't have. How will your kids grow up to think randomly about the Roman Empire if they don't have a dad that instills it in them? I think a big part of it is also, if I was to actually fall on the more conspiratorial side about Hollywood pushing a narrative, is that yes, people grow, like men and women, boys and girls raised without strong father figures are easier to manipulate. Right? And so if you can make it seem more common than it is, and you raise kids who are not being raised all that well by both their parents anyways, they're being raised by tablets, they're being raised by what's being fed to them in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, that's the critic says that Bluey is fulfilling a fantasy for parents more than the kids, because the parents they feel guilty about being uninvolved in their kids' lives. So they're going to show them this father who is really involved in his kids' lives to like be that like surrogate parent. And they're saying that Chip Chilla fulfills a different fantasy for conservative parents, that it combats the, quote, perceived indoctrination of public schools by screening homeschool-themed content afterwards, featuring lessons about dead white people and the classic text.
Maybe all these people are just dorks who never played any sports. Like, my dad worked a 9-to-5 job, had his life. I had to go to school. But my dad was also a hockey coach, and I played sports. I played hockey. I played baseball. I had a relationship with my dad, and I am all the better for it, right? Maybe these people were just dorks who didn't play sports, and their dads wanted them to play sports. The people who wrote these articles, it's just dumb journalists who
it
didn't.
sounds like this chick is a mom who feels like moms are given unrealistic expectations.
Well, look.
Because they're saying like, look at these perfect dads that are put in these TV shows. Moms never get the same.
That's not the mom. That's not the mom archetype. The mom archetype in Hollywood is the strong single mom who works 2 jobs and still raises her kid perfectly.
Or every movie, like I was watching Christmas Vacation, even that movie was made in the 80s. The mom is like intelligent and stoic, and the dad is a complete idiot.
Well, yeah,
like complete buffoon.
And it's supposed to be like in that movie that like, it wouldn't be
Right, but
funny
that's
if
like
he
every
wasn't.
show is
Yeah.
Well,
like
it
that.
says the perfect mother has to be a lot of things, and few of them are very fun. The baseline expectation of selfless devotion leaves little room for experimentation. This is why many children's stories get out of their way, or get her out of the way in order for the child to experience risk, adventure, failure, and growth. Dad can hang around through all of that, though, and if he does, he can be the star.
Notice what they just said. They said it doesn't leave room for experimentation. Maybe if you were a good writer, you could experiment and find something that works within the confines of that.
But it is also true to life, right? Because moms are the more risk-averse parent.
Yes and no. I mean, I always think of that scene from The Sandlot. It's one of my favorite scenes when the mom comes to the kid and begs him to scrape up his knees and get into trouble.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's very creative writing.
Yeah.
And like, so it just all depends on how you write it. And I think that that's a total cop-out to just blame.
Well, and she had to because the dad's the stepdad, right? He's the...
Yeah, but he tries to play catch with him.
I
have a
love that.
relationship with him.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's I just think a lot of it is I understand the argument that like a lot of people in the chat were saying depopulation agenda. They want to make the 2-parent household seem obscure so that people just fall away from it naturally. But I think a lot of it just comes down to hack writers who back in the day, look, they reference The Lion King in that article. They reference all of these examples where the single, like either a single parent or a parent dies, and it's a lot easier to write a more compelling story when you have to overcome something at a young age. What would a kid these days have to overcome at a young age? Well, there was a time when the stories would be about divorce, right? But that gets played out. So then you do the stories where they've only got one parent, and that's just easier for them to do. It also allows to hire less actors and have the kids be involved with one person, and they build the relationship with that one person. Or think like that 70s show. You've got both parents in that show, right? So you have to get examples where that parent connects. Like the best thing about that people loved about Full House, a lot of people still remember, are the sappy monologues that come at the end of the episode, and no kid ever got that speech from their dad once in their life, let alone every week. At least I never did.
Just every night, your dad is like giving you this drawn out monologue. You're like, Dad.
There's this great, spoof where they do of it where like this guy's like he's giving his kid a lecture, and then they're like, "Where's this music coming from?" And like syrupy music starts playing on the speakers, and they're like, "Why is there music playing all of a sudden? Nobody turned it on." That's what it was like, and it worked because it was wholesome, but it was still a single parent household.
I wanted to read some from Jeremy Boring's tweet in response to this article. He said that Bent Keys, Chipchilla, and Bluey are considered problematic because they have weirdly present fathers. Both fathers are derided as a fantasy for being active and engaged with their children. But according to New York Times, Chipchilla is the far more offensive of the two because Chum Chum teaches lessons about dead white people like George Washington, Ben Franklin, Neil Armstrong, etc., and leads his kids in fun games and lessons as a way of establishing male authority. Chipchilla is the most popular show on the Ben Key platform, and Bluey is the most popular children's show, period. I'm not sure if it wins over Cocomelon, but we'll look into that later. It's no coincidence that the two shows feature loving and engaged nuclear families with great values who actually enjoy being together are so popular. And it's no coincidence that the cultural gatekeepers at New York Times have them both in their crosshairs. The left not only wants to add its radical agenda to kids' entertainment, they want to remove good values from kids' entertainment. Our culture has fallen so far, and at times it might seem hopeless.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Every time you get a crisis party, a two-parent household says thank you.
Yeah. Benke isn't anywhere near the level or size of influence as the New York Times and Disney's of the world, but we created it because we have hope and believe our best days are ahead of us. That's something that's missing from entertainment.
Yep.
I mean, that used to be in adult entertainment.
Really...
is some kind of optimism about the future. Now everything is about some kind of dystopian hell world or apocalyptic stories.
I talk all the time that the reason I love all of those blue sky dramas on the USA Network is because even when the stories were serious, the tone of the shows, there was a certain amount of almost naive hope in the world that you just don't see anymore. I think that social media destroyed a lot of that. I think we tend to look at the world with more shades of gray now because we're exposed to more just ridiculous human interaction every day that makes it hard to like. Look, you can only look at like clown world and end wokeness on Twitter for so long before you start losing a little bit of hope in society.
Well, speaking of which, End Wokeness posted a clip of Cocomelon, which is on Netflix now. A CGI animated kids show that is effectively brain slop for children.
We won't play the clip, but I'm just going to put the image there of the...
Yeah, this is a scene where a boy in a dress dances for his two gay dads. Yeah. And Cocomelon is the most popular show for babies and toddlers ages 2+. So I almost rather AI would generate kids' entertainment than have stuff like this. They also show in this scene the gay dads are encouraging the little boy to choose a tiara over a fireman helmet because they're like, just be yourself. Except being yourself means you should be the person I want you to be because I'm a weirdo. Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of examples recently. Like this, there was a Twitter thread that went viral a month ago. Said like name a TV show with like a present father who's the head of the household. He's the breadwinner. He's masculine. He takes care of the family. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. And says name one all weight. Which I'm sorry, if you put the all weight in there, you're asking to be dunked on because it's annoying sounding. Yeah. Even if I agree with the guy's premise. And people listed like there was like 8 to 10 shows that got listed and they're like, oh, this isn't hard. I'm like, bro, there was like 600 shows in the last 3 years. 10 examples is not the dunk you think it is. Like if you can come up with 10 examples in the last 15 years, that's not actually like a huge own.
Yeah.
Like 10 examples of strong male fathers in the home in 300 new shows a year is not a lot. right? And a lot of people were like dunking on him. They're like Walter White. That's the example everyone was giving was Walter White and stuff like that. But I was even thinking of
He's a
single
provider.
dads.
Like it or not, he's a provider.
But like I was thinking like they were like this is way before this. Remember for a while I was extolling the virtues of Veronica Mars, who has the dad who like her dad's a private investigator and the mom is alive but absent. And the same thing is true in the show Castle, where even though the character of Rick Castle is kind of he's a goofball, but he's still a fairly stern parent when he needs to be. He's just a lovable guy. The mom is like an actress, and she's just flighty. She's never around. She shows up once in a while. She jets in and out, and she's portrayed as lovable, but not in any way like a present parent, right? So they were already toying with this 15, 20 years ago, these types of things, because they didn't have an interest in, well, in that show, it's because there was like a love interest that was supposed to happen throughout the show, but they don't have an interest in portraying the husband and the wife together because it knocks off avenues of storytelling, on top of the fact that a lot of these people probably resented their home life growing up. You know, they probably grew up in some rural suburb and now they live in the city, and they resent growing up to their conservative parents, and now they're going to own the cons by writing some stupid story that no one's going to watch on some streaming service that no one has.
Yep, like the people who created this show, they probably went to college.
Yes.
And, to get back at whatever childhood they felt was inadequate, create shows like this for children.
I was looking because I remember like there's a list every few years. They'll make the list of like the top 50 TV dads, and I looked at the TV Week one. This is the one I remember from 2014, and unfortunately, number one is Cliff Huxtable from the Cosby Show, and I don't know if that one's allowed to fly anymore. Personally,
Times have changed.
right? But think about this: like even all the names that are on this list, which is like the Andy Griffith Show. Now they're going to be like all of those shows were like precursors to our modern world of white supremacy, right? They upheld white supremacist tenets, the utopian idea of the two-parent household and the loving family. Like the nuclear family is a bad thing, right? Like now the examples would all be single dads or dads who are widowed and things like that. So sucks, but It's a lot of programming. I get that, but I always lean more to is it Hanlon's law? It says like never assume malice when incompetence is far more likely. I tend to fall on the side of both. I think it's both malice and incompetence.
I think that Bluey is something that slipped through the cracks at Disney. That's the most popular kids show on Disney Plus, and it doesn't seem to have really anything offensive about it. It looks perfectly wholesome and nice. And that's why I don't really understand the argument that Daily Wire made a knockoff of it. Because if they wanted to make a knockoff of Bluey in spite of it, then they would topple everything about Bluey on its head. But nothing is wrong with Bluey. They just wanted to make their own version of it. Yep. Like something that they have as original content.
Also, like... think the Brady Bunch and all the stuff that happened in the Brady Bunch and all these things, like the idea of the dysfunctional family actually to me is fairly interesting. Like it's not like you can't get miles out of a dysfunctional family, because that's like the most common thing everyone says. Like you go to the holidays and you're like, I wonder if everyone's family is as dysfunctional as my family. Well, a newsflash, everyone's family is as dysfunctional as your family. And all of the people who seem to have portrayed this perfect family life, well, if you go watch like liberal media, they portray the Bidens as living a perfectly normal family life, and we all know that that's not true. It's all a facade for most people to different degrees, but no family life is perfect. But that doesn't mean there isn't a reason that you shouldn't strive for it in your entertainment.
Yeah, and I think entertainment can also be an escape for people, right? Like the ideal family of the Brady Bunch, like you said. They have issues, they're not perfect, but it's also perhaps not as chaotic as what your own home life may be. And it's kind of, this place where you can turn off your mind and not worry about being indoctrinated.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Super Chat, shall we?
Bucky Ducky said, Corey Anderson, you could also look at freestyle slalom skating. Some of those tricks look wild. What is that? Is that
slalom?
Slalom?
I think they might have meant slalom. I don't know.
Slalom. I tried getting into it, but it is pretty dang hard.
I don't actually know what they're talking about. If it actually is Salem, I don't know what they're talking about.
The Ninja Bear said, if we are talking CO2 emissions, look at Pleistocene Park. Trees are warming the ground and melting permafrost, threatening more than 1 trillion tons of CO2 being released. But let's ban cars. LOL. I didn't know that. Wow, I didn't know that. Corey Anderson said, PCC, thank you for letting me participate in the show with my nonsense. Sarah, coffee mommy is a term of respect, I promise.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. If you say so.
Do one more.
Andrew Jacobs said, happy birthday, Wesley. Have a great day.
Oh, I think it is.
Is it Wesley's birthday? Well, he's not here, but we'll pass the message along. I didn't know it was Wesley's birthday.
Happy birthday, Wesley.
Did you know?
I didn't know.
I didn't get the memo.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact. Mary, what the hell's going on with a $500 dating app and the kids that don't want to use it?
Well, Tinder is desperate to get young people to use their app again because they are not interested. They have now launched a new subscription plan for $499 a month, and you will be shocked at the perks that are offered. This is called Tinder Select, a VIP service that is only on offer to about 1% of the dating app's most active users, as the company says on its website. So you have to be in the top 1% of the 1% of people who obsessively use Tinder to even qualify for this plan. I can't imagine it's a good way to incentivize people to use your app is, here's this invitation to flush $500 down the toilet every month to get more matches.
Monthly.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's not even a one-time payment.
I just signed up for AAA. $90 for a whole year.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you,
assistance.
Tinder Select is not worth it. So here are the exclusive features that they're offering. One is called Skip the Line, which allows others to see your profile after you like them, even if they don't have a gold or silver membership. I don't even know what those membership terms mean. And the other one is Direct Message, which this is the kicker. It lets you send someone a message without having matched them up to twice a week. Ooh. So you get to message someone who swiped left on you.
I like the idea that you just get to harass people.
Yeah. You just get to message people who don't like
pay $500. No, I was saying before, I said the best thing would be, it's like you see them swipe and then they reappear. They come back into the screen from the other direction.
You're just in Tinder purgatory where you can't
get
escape
rid of
them.
me, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it would be sold as a perk that you get to message people who decided that they are not interested in you, but okay. So this requires you to have a verified photo, show your relationship intent. You must have at least 4 images, 5 interests, and a biography listed on your profile.
It's the no doesn't mean no.
It's the no doesn't mean no
for $500.
Yeah, for $500 you can be a total creep on Tinder and harass people who don't like you. So
the stalkers are gonna love this.
Sounds like a great idea, and this was part of their whole effort to get young people using their app again, because I guess online dating is on the decline with young people. I found this recent report from just last month that young people aren't on the dating apps. 79% of college and grad students around the country said they do not use any dating apps even as infrequently as once a month. And this also says the overwhelming majority of young people on college campuses would prefer to meet people in person. This is a novel concept.
The only thing more of a red flag would be somebody who subscribes to a service that helps you find addresses for people.
Yeah, I mean, Yellow Pages is still out there.
No, like a people, like in this day and age,
you can just cold call.
Is there really a need for like people search a person and find their address? Because that's how the stalkers get you.
I bet it's for people who really want to know if their exes are on the app, so they're willing to pay $500 to find or possibly harass their exes.
I can't pretend to have any like knowledge about this because I've never in my life used a dating app, and I find it one of those things where even the people that use them hate them. Like, I don't know a person who genuinely has strong positive feelings about dating apps.
I feel like people just download them to use it as like a game. Like, it's just something to occupy your time. You don't really have any intention of meeting anyone.
You can always get that
Yeah.
Disney dating app.
That is like somehow worse than the rest of the mainstream dating apps. But yeah, this one student said, I feel dating apps have ruined the dating scene for many people my age and ruined their self-confidence. I'd rather meet and start as friends than use an app that will most likely end in hookups. And I mention this because Tinder has a vested interest in promoting hookup culture. They get more revenue from people perpetually swiping to find temporary hookups than they do from starting actual long-term relationships. They don't want you to find someone on the app, get married happily ever after, and delete the app. They want you to be a perpetual customer.
Yeah, they don't like. They're not going to do a thing where like it sees your relationship status change, and then Tinder starts sending you push notifications. Have you remembered to delete this app? Have you remembered to delete this app? No, they want to keep you on the app.
It's incredibly dystopian, actually. If you really think about it and dive deep into it, how many forces would rather we be alone in order to continue to make more money off of us?
It's also like I was reading a thread the other day that this on Twitter where this woman said Instagram is now the #1 dating app, and she basically says like if you're even mildly interesting and post stuff that's mildly interesting, random women will just message you.
Is that real?
I don't think that's necessarily like. Look, my experience is a little bit different, but
I've heard that. I've heard like the fresh and fit guys talk about how like in this day and age, average women can have access to like any guy on Instagram. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It might be, but I've heard people also say that Twitter is basically a dating app as well.
Justin G in the chat says, remember when MySpace was basically a dating app? Yes, my first long-term relationship did in fact come about on MySpace. Almost, I think 8 months we ended up dating, or 6 to 8 months. So like 6 months.
That's a good run.
It's a good run. So look, who am I to, I'm not judging anyone that meets somebody on these apps. Like a lot of people these days, like look, a majority of your communication with a lot of people is happening digitally now.
I know a couple people who've gotten married off of dating apps. Most people know.
But what to Mary's point earlier, you're talking about how like the young people seem to be getting away with it, but it seems like it's supposed to be more for people who they're older now, they got to go to work all day. Like, look, I don't got time to go out and meet people, so they fall into this kind of perpetual cycle where they're like, maybe it'll be different this time.
Young people who go to college are in a bit of a fortunate position because they're forced to go out and interact with people all day long instead of being on Zoom meetings. So I guess that's why they have those preferences. They don't want to use dating apps because they don't have to, whereas people in the corporate adult world don't have organic opportunities as often to meet the opposite sex.
So like where does like my generation, I guess, like given that I'm old, like would have met like, you know, like Facebook groups when you were in college, right? Or for like people at your school or something like that if you're in college, because you're not gonna have classes with everyone. But like what social media platform do young people use that would allow them to meet people in a more communal sense like that rather than just messages back and forth?
In this day and
Because
age?
no Gen Z person is using Facebook. Like
well, they don't want to use social media or dating apps to meet people.
I don't know if I believe that.
That's at least what they're stating, and their actions speak louder than their words.
I do not. No, the dating apps, yes. I don't believe that
right
Gen Z is suddenly not using social media. I think Gen Z.
No, I know they're using
yeah.
social media, but are any of them starting relationships by meeting on Snapchat?
Well, where the hell are they meeting each other then? Like
because they're forced to be around each other
they're
in college.
Co-ed dorms or
co-ed
classes or
so yeah, and then they're together for a couple of years, and then they break up, and then they get out of college, and they're like, how the hell do I meet someone now? And eventually, maybe they'll be going classmates.com and meet people they went to school with.
Well, I guess Tinder is like attempting to be a cure, or dating apps in general is like an attempted cure to the decline of the nuclear family and just the decline of long-term relationships working out in general.
Not that John Stewart says back in the early 2000s, I was in my I was in my 20s at the time. He was not pushing 30, ladies and gentlemen. He says back in the early 2000s, I was in my 20s at the time. I had a MySpace hookup. Well, there you go. Happened to somebody else
Congrats.
as well. Mine was not a hookup though. I was not such a
You were
heathen.
looking for love on
I was not
MySpace.
such a heathen. I was 8 18 and looking for love.
How would that happen? Would you just search a random name and find a profile? Or?
I don't know.
Did it like suggest profiles to you? Like, you know,
We didn't go to the same school. Like, she was from Lakeville, I was from Woodbury, from opposite
but you
sides
must
of the
like
tracks.
know similar people.
Oh, maybe
like,
that's what it was.
You might have had like mutual friends.
I don't think so. Okay. So Lakeville was close to Egan. I had friends that went to Egan because we skated. Maybe it's possible, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Or maybe was it like, could you like things on MySpace? And then it would be like,
Maybe I
this
I
person
left her
also
a
liked
comment
this.
on a photo, and then
Did you put
posted on
her
her
in your
wall?
top 8?
yes, she was probably in my top 8. Or actually, there was probably an HTML picture of her on my
That's
page
nice.
at some
Adorable.
point.
Wholesome. Yeah, so this Guardian article says Tinder is painfully desperate to woo young people back onto dating apps in response to this new data that they hate dating apps. In an attempt to appeal to Gen Z, Tinder has added a bunch of new features such as quizzes and prompts, which is fairly standard stuff. They proudly describe these updates as a Riz first redesign.
Hello there, fellow kids.
For readers who are over the age of 25 and or don't spend every waking moment online, Riz is teen slang for charisma.
I remember when...
And a Riz first redesign is cringeworthy corporate slang for we are desperate not to become obsolete.
Did you see the video of Brett Cooper quizzing Ben Shapiro on Gen Z terms?
No.
He's like,
Did he know
her dad?
Riz?
I think he ended up getting Riz. He's like, charisma. Like, you have to watch it. It was a short.
He was very satisfied with himself.
There's
for
a
knowing
$20
that one.
super chat here from Not That John Stewart says, she found me. It was out of nowhere. Well, see, that can happen. Much like an RKO, my friend. That can happen out of nowhere. MySpace back in the day. We need to bring it back.
Here's another interesting data point that I wanted to talk about. 37% of respondents who are in college or grad school said that the beliefs of a potential partner factor in. So they said that they wouldn't go on a date with a person who voted differently from them in the 2020 presidential election. Or that was most college students. They wouldn't go on a date with someone that voted for Trump, is basically what they're saying.
Of course.
But then again, like, I thought about it and I can't judge them for that because I wouldn't go on a date with someone who voted for Biden. Like, I would be the same exact way. So is it really that bad of a thing? Like, you're trying to find people that you align with on your political beliefs or your values or your religion.
For a guy, it might be different because I can fix her. I can fix her. Which is my new favorite online meta. It's all the pictures of women who are who have mugshots for doing stupid shit. It's the one where it says like woman. It's like I still have no idea if this is real or not. It's this picture of this woman. It says like woman caught hitting IRS agent while yelling "End the Fed."
It is weird. So conservative guys have like a fantasy of dating a liberal girl and making her conservative, but there aren't any liberal girls who fantasize about turning a conservative guy into a liberal.
Right, it's too much brain power too. I think
It's too
girls
much
like
effort.
to turn their it's way too much effort, and girls want to turn their brains off when they're with their boyfriends.
Here is that
put in
video.
extra work.
Yeah.
Usually it's like a derogatory term for guys, where it's like, oh, he's such a simp. But usually, with like most Western women, and because of the crazy feminists, a guy just being nice and chivalrous, be like, oh, he's such a simp when he's just being a good person. But there are guys that will like tripping over themselves for girls, and that's kind of like the traditional simping. All right, what's camp?
What is camp? Like Susan Sontag camp? Like going all the way back to the original definition of camp? It's irony, but queer?
Yes, like ironically trendy.
Yeah, that's it. But that's not new. That's like 1968 Susan Sontag.
Well, we
essays.
brought it back.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a there's a 12-minute video of her quizzing Ben Shapiro on Gen Z slang.
He's hip with the young people. He knows
I
these
love how he's so
terms.
matter of fact.
He's like faking it. He's like, oh, I don't know this one.
He had them like send the list to him beforehand so he could research.
He had his agent get it so that he's like, I'm not going to get caught off with these gotcha questions. You're not catching me on this one.
What kind of person would pay $500 a month for Tinder? Because I'm worried about them.
Men who want to have sex with a lot of women.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with.
It's like a sugar daddy
paying
website.
$500.
Then just go to a bar. right? Like, just go to a bar.
Effort.
No.
You gotta have Riz.
Look,
like real Riz.
there's a barrier to entry at the bar that is a little bit different when you're doing like
Costs less to buy a girl a drink than pay $500 a month on Tinder.
True.
The guy meeting someone on an app is just I think it's just because a lot of them they're expecting it, right? They're expecting someone who's like, unless they're implicit about saying like I'm only looking for relationships, it's just become a thing where it's just people understand now that a lot of them are doing it not to find love, but they're just looking for someone to hook up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're just
And
attracting
the
the
guys
boomers.
and these men are just lazy these days. They don't want to put in no effort for you girls.
You don't have to pay $500 to be like swiped on by someone else who pays for that tier, do you?
What do you mean?
Like if a guy pays $500 to get all those perks, does he only see women that have paid for that same level?
Because let's be
There's no
honest,
way.
it's going to be the men on Tinder paying for this.
Exactly.
Obviously.
The remember like nightclubs, they might still do this. So, like nightclubs used to have like ladies night where women don't pay entry fee, and they do that because guys aren't going to come unless there are women there.
Yeah.
So they need to get women to these dating apps.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do the guys want to be there?
And it's a good way to vet the men out as well.
Yes.
They're not doing a good job of incentivizing women to be on dating apps. Because they're making this feature for men.
Yeah. Well, no, they're making it so that
It's not adding up.
Because and it's also because it's not going to help actual long-term relationships. It's only going to help the hookup culture, which is what they want to push anyways.
Yeah.
So it's very sad. It's very sad.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to super chats.
Sarenko Productions said, did you go to the Banana Slug School, Sara?
No
I don't
comment.
know what that is. Hiroshima Otaru said Wonka was a pointless movie story-wise. Well, all prequels are, pretty much.
Like, I don't need to see a bunch of examples as to why this person dresses like this. How did he get his hat? How did he get, where did the golden ticket come from? Like, I don't need those questions answered. A little mystery is a good thing.
Yeah, especially with his character.
Yep. Do
The
two more.
Manic Mustache said Dahl is on record saying he never wanted his writing to be changed. We discussed this in the Half-Baked Treehouse.
Okay.
But that's he changed his own writing while he was still alive because people complained about it. So he just didn't want other people to change his writing. Eric Myers said, wanted to promote my romantic comedy novel, Magical Melody, and shout out PCC Discord. Have a great show and a Merry Christmas, Brett, Mary, and Sarah.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And
Tell us more about your novel.
Yes. What is so it's
Is it going to be adapted into a movie?
Magical Melody? What do you think of the name Melody? Is Melody a good name for a girl?
I like it.
No. You like it?
I don't like it.
All right. Let's do one more.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder says William Peter Blatty said he never wanted any more of his works adapted after they butchered his novel Legion just to turn it into a horror movie. Now that he's dead, we get Exorcist Believer. Blech.
Yep.
I never saw Exorcist Believer.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, I didn't want to subject myself to that.
All right, Mary, tell us what the hell is going on with Ballerina Farms, because I believe that a lot of the men in here, me included, would have no clue what you're talking about.
Well, we talked about her before because she is a pageant winner and she did this big speech at one of her wins where she said that becoming a mother is one of the most empowering things she's ever done in her life. And you wouldn't really hear a pro-life message like that often. So she is a lifestyle influencer. She is a mom of 7. She is a beautiful, blonde, skinny, tall woman. And she posts things about making sourdough bread and caring for her farm animals and drinking raw milk.
It's a
And
41-month-old?
she is the literal definition of the social media trad wife, but I think that she comes off as quite authentic. People expect her to apologize for marrying into wealth. She married into wealth, this fortune of over $400 million from the JetBlue Corporation. And, she portrays this simple, humble farm life. And people feel like she should put a disclaimer on all of her posts saying, by the way, I married into wealth. Here's my video about taking care of my chickens.
That's not her job.
And you're right. It's not her job. It's not her responsibility. But people just nitpick this woman to death. And it's kind of bizarre to me because the way that people flex their wealth, usually with designer items and luxury sports cars and, you know, all of these like blatant flexes, they don't get hate for that. You'll only get hate for quote unquote pretending to be poor or having an alternative lifestyle outside of New York or LA.
Yeah.
Is she though? Is she pretending to be poor?
No,
I
any
wouldn't
way,
say
shape, or
she
form?
is.
She's
No,
got like,
I,
and they've got like I saw that Linda from Mostly Peaceful Latinos was talking about her recently too, because she's got like 30 people that work for her.
she does have staff, yeah. But it's not like she has to disclose every detail of her life in every post. She obviously has a successful business.
It's just the social media version of when somebody says like, "Oh, I like apples," and they're like, "Oh, so you hate oranges?" then?"
Exactly.
Wait,
Everyone wants to nitpick.
She has a staff, like the ballerina farm lady?
Yeah, she has staff that help her out taking care of her farm. I'm sure she has people that help take care of her children.
Okay. That is
things
a
like
little
that.
different. I mean, like, because you could live on a farm and have 7 kids and not have to have married into like a $400 million fortune.
But it's not going to look like a magazine
Right.
like hers does.
Yeah.
But it's all curated anyway, just like
faker?
everything else on social
Is it
media.
any faker than having to look at a cover of Taylor Swift pretending to bake?
Yeah, like at least this woman
Taylor
actually
Swift doesn't bake.
actually walks the walk. So recently she was she was criticized for doing what a lot of people do when they own animals and work on a farm. She killed one of her chickens. This is a resurfaced post from back in 2018. Here's her caption. A rooster attacked our 1-year-old Frances yesterday as she crawled about the farm. By the time we broke up the melee, poor Frances was a bloody mess with scratches all over her head and back. Rooster, though a good protector of his hens, had already exhibited aggressive behavior towards humans. He tried to attack Daniel, her husband, once who promptly drop-kicked him halfway across the farm, ending the conflict. But it's hard for the children to garner that level of respect without a similar show of force. If Rooster had it his way, he would rule Ballerina Farm with a draconian fist in true dictatorship fashion. This sounds like Chicken City. But this is our farm, and we don't tolerate such behavior from our animals. Therefore, while Daniel was in town yesterday, I made rooster noodle soup. Animal husbandry is the work of perfecting the herd. Culling for bad behavior or poor physical stature maintains the farm's forward progress and keeps farmers safe. So she killed a chicken and ate it. Mm-hmm. Big whoop, right? But now everyone is angry.
The
at her.
chickens that you get from the store, they just magically appeared there. They're not actually killed. That's just the magical chickens that aren't actually killed.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I guarantee you Ballerina Farm treats her chickens better than industrial farms treat their chickens.
Even when they attack her baby.
Yeah. I mean, this is also like people, specifically vegans, value animal life over human life, and they don't care that her baby got attacked by an animal. Doesn't matter.
The Taylor Swift vegans?
So a lot of people were just criticizing her, like, for, I don't guess, being inauthentic, but also saying that she portrays that she does all of this work on her farm, whereas she actually has employees do most of the work for her.
Look, I don't care if she's fake. Like, it's social
I don't
media.
either.
It's your job
Right.
to understand that social media is not real life. Anytime you start recording a video and you get to make edits to anything that you say, you get to decide when and where the video starts and ends. You're looking at something that's been created for you to watch in a specific way. Unless you're seeing it done in real life, it's fake. It's all fake. So if you watch this stuff, it's on you to be like, look, what I'm looking at is not an accurate representation of the real world. Sure, it's entertaining. Sure, I find it idyllic and something maybe I would like to have one day. But even the people that have it don't really have it. So it is what it is. That's on you.
I saw this one post that's now deleted saying, sometimes I watch this farm lady's cooking videos when they're suggested on Instagram. She's got like 10 kids and always pregnant. I'm always like, wow, they work so hard on their farm. Well, I Googled them and her husband's father was the founder of JetBlue, and the stove behind her in her videos is worth $35,000. So I guess that's why they say a stove unraveled her entire facade of being a real homesteader, because she has an expensive kitchen.
Co-parter.
Yeah, and
Sucks to suck, dude.
there's something called the homesteading snark community.
What?
I hate the world.
Yeah. It's just an online community that's dedicated to hating on people that post content about homesteading and farm life.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, Mary. Is this a community of mostly women or men?
It's women.
Shocking.
Wow, women tearing down other women. I've never heard of that happening before. So she says the family doesn't do a lick of farming or homesteading. They have staff. Everything that woman touches dies, including the poor animals. She's obsessed with milking them and then lets them die like they're nothing. They let their kids run around barefoot near untrained dogs and in the Parisian metro. Gasp. That woman cannot cook for shit either.
How do you know? You haven't tasted it.
Yeah, I don't know.
What the hell does that mean?
And yeah, they're Mormons, but these types of people usually are. That or they're evangelists. Oh, how dare they have a different religion than you? So she's hated on because she is Mormon, because she pretends to be poor, supposedly, because she is a pro-life mom, because she's married.
Look, I don't watch her.
Because
I
she's
don't watch
beautiful.
her. I don't watch her content. What about her pretend? Like, is it because like she lives in a place that just doesn't look like it's in a city, so therefore it's pretending to be poor? What does that mean?
You know, there are so many people.
Bags?
There are far more people on social media that pretend to be rich when they're not than people who are rich pretending to be poor.
You know what it
so
is?
how about we criticize all of it equally?
It's influencers who have to do the thing where they pretend to fly in a private jet to get photos to pretend to be rich. Mad that the lady who pretends to be poor can actually ride on the private jet. That's just sad.
It is the have-nots who are once again deceiving at the haves.
And this is like an outcome that is not all that unpredictable when you think about what everybody posting just the highlights of their lives is going to do to people, right? You sit all day in your cubicle job and you look at all these people who post this curated content that makes their life look more interesting than it is. You know, that's going to make people, you know, and that's on you. It's your job to curate your own social media experience and not allow yourself to sit there and look at a bunch of stuff that just makes you envious all the time. Right?
Well, is the assumption that she's poor because she lives on a farm? Where did the assumption even come from in the first place? So basically people just hate her when they find out that she's rich. That's the only thing she's done wrong?
I think that women specifically engage with social media in a very toxic way where it's just constant comparison.
I found some interesting...
just every time that they see someone has something they don't, it makes them... I don't know. It just has this extremely destructive effect on their minds.
Yeah, it's like competitive. Because not only is she pretty, she also has a bunch of kids. She's married, she has a farm, so they have to find some reason to hate her?
I found some interesting, like, where the edges are for what people find acceptable. So, like, if you look at skating content, like when you post skating content, most of it, you know, depending on how dangerous you get, a lot of people, they think it's cool. Even the people that don't really understand it say, wow, that's really cool. I'll get comments, for instance, sometimes saying, like, you should wear a helmet. And I'm like, that's never going to happen. I can't. I cannot, because it's actually not more dangerous, but it throws off my equilibrium because I've been doing it without one for so long that I never got around to. I'm just not going to do that. Sorry, I'm not going to do that. If I die skating, I'll laugh. I'll laugh in the afterlife. But that's not the point. It's never going to happen. But like, have you ever seen the videos of the dudes of like the free runners and the parkour dudes who like run on beams on skyscrapers, right? It's like if they missed a single beam, they would die. There is no saving themselves. There is no nothing. The comments on those videos, it's almost all people who are like, you're a scumbag who is a bad person because your mom spent 9 months in labor and your parents loved you and you're just out here risking your life for nothing but social media clout. So
Do you agree with them?
No, I don't. I mean, to an extent, I think that the risk is insane. But I also understand that when you do sports like that, to varying degrees, part of what you do it for is the ability to physically push yourself to boundaries where you have not gone before, and that's why you do it. Now, that became very different when social media became a thing. So to the average person, the idea is like, do you only do this because you get likes and validation on social media, or do you do it because you want to push the boundaries of what you yourself are capable of. Now, the problem is those are inextricably linked. Why you're not going to do something like that and not record it. And nowadays, the place where you post that stuff is on social media, which is tied to likes and reposts and all this stuff. So but like, even though I disagree with them, I absolutely understand that instinctive response to be like, why would you put your family through that? Because my mom hated that. My mom was not a fan, because I took a lot more risks when I was younger, and my mom wasn't a huge fan of that.
Okay, but I mean, people were taking risks before you could record them and put them on the internet.
Yes.
And what about all those people who have like entire accounts dedicated to eating videos where they're eating fast food all day, every day, and sending themselves to an early grave?
That's a
after they're
risk.
not, you know, their mom carried them for 9 months or whatever. That's
I think
an
at
even
one
bigger
point,
risk.
I made the joke. I was like, Mom, I've driven in a car with you. I've taken plenty of risks before. But like, yeah, it's just, but you open yourself up to that criticism when you're willing to put yourself out there.
I think a lot of those resentful comments are just people coping because they don't believe that they're capable of achieving similar greatness. Whether it's adrenaline junkies who are taking risks that they would never take, or it's a woman with a seemingly idyllic life and a beautiful family, and they feel resentful because they see that as unattainable. Like, this article says, Hannah Nealman, Ballerina Farm, is the embodiment of a maternal ideal wholly impossible for most of us to attain. She is the Gwyneth Paltrow of moms, the Barbie of moms, the Martha Stewart of moms.
That's kind of based because Martha Stewart's a tax hero, or she's a criminal. So I'm
based because of Gwyneth Paltrow too.
Yes. Like, I kind of like the idea that like nowadays, that's somebody, like, think about that. Like, Martha Stewart has like, it's Martha Stewart's Christmas. And just this is the lady who was in the clink. She was locked up.
This is why we stumble over ourselves trying to ascertain how many babysitters are lurking behind the scenes, why we comb Reddit threads looking for context, why we continuously ask ourselves what is up with all things Ballerina Farm. Their lives are perfect, too perfect. Why would that be your reaction to just seeing something positive and wholesome? Like, that's a personal issue. There's nothing wrong with what she posts.
I would also be more annoyed if they're like, then you get the perfect person who's got the perfect life. The shot is framed perfectly. Her clothes have no wrinkles. And she's like, look, my life isn't perfect. Like, I have struggles just like you. Like, there's this actually thing that was going on in the South Park thing where like Logan LaDouche is like, look, it's like, people suck sometimes. That's why you got to work twice as hard. So smash the like button. Like that's just as fake. That's just as fake.
But, like,
stupid.
in her videos, she's not doing anything that normal, ordinary people without hundreds of millions of dollars can't do. She's baking bread, making butter.
Maybe what she's
She's churning butter, or she's like milking a cow. Like,
It's not
you
like she's
can do all of those
like
things.
abusing her kids.
Douglas
being a
Dantas
good
is
mom.
right. Martha Stewart, it was insider trading, not taxes.
Oh,
So,
right.
yes, but no, like, it's so what they should do is they should turn her channel into like her highlighting all of the women and men that work for her, where it's just showing the other people who are not as beautiful and is not as camera ready.
No, all of her employees are models, Brett.
That's even better. That's hilarious. Like, she just hires like Victoria's Secret supermodels to like nanny her kids, and like, yes, just do that. All the men are just like male models doing the farm work, and it's just super fake. I love it.
It just sucks because anytime that people see like happy families and beautiful women, or anything that is just inherently wholesome and good on social media, they just want to attack it, or they hope that secretly behind the scenes it's this nightmare.
Yeah.
And that shows that you are ugly on the inside.
Envy is the word, and envy is becoming the most common thing that we're seeing right now. It's one of the reasons why we're seeing the culture war go the way that it's going, because there's nothing somebody likes more than hating you and feeling justified in attacking you, which is what a lot of them do, right? They're like, well, she's rich. She's probably destroying the ozone layer, and she's pushing white supremacy. So it's okay to hate her.
Yeah.
Her husband is a multimillionaire. We don't want millionaires. We need equity. We need communism. So therefore, it's okay to rag on this lady because her life is interesting and my life sucks.
Right, but hating on her doesn't make her any less rich or any less beautiful.
Sucks to
Let's
suck,
be real.
losers. Like,
Ballerina
that's-
Farm is going to stay winning, and the haters are going to
look,
continue
this-
coping and seething. everything.
And this lady's life, for all we know, is miserable behind the scenes. Doesn't mean your life isn't any less miserable hating her. So I guess in the end, you both lose.
She's miserable and rich. You're miserable and middle class.
And envious. She's miserable and rich, and they're miserable and envious. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's finish up these super chats. Tacty Platty said, with a body count of 30, you ain't ugly, Brett.
That is fake
Brett
news,
never said that his body count was... He never said what it was.
I said you had to get to 30 crisis parties if you wanted me to reveal my body count. But that offer has expired, ladies and gentlemen, so you're never going to know.
Corey Anderson said, I bet Mary punches Brett off camera.
Is that true, Mary? At least it's better than them floating the idea that I punch Mary off camera.
I didn't punch you. I hit you.
Guys, if I ever start suspiciously wearing long sleeves every day, you know why.
Because I'm hitting you on your arms,
Yes.
not your face.
Well, no.
We got to keep that podcasting face.
No, you're going. I'm putting my arms up like this to block you. Because when you become enraged, you just won't stop, and then I'm gonna have to start wearing long sleeve shirts.
Not that Jon Stewart said, "Don't cover your bruises, Brett."
See, there you go. It's gonna
Corey
happen.
Anderson said $10 says they put Luke on that list to shut him up. The Epstein client list?
Epstein client list.
Oh, that would be the ultimate plot twist, wouldn't
Guys,
it?
we are almost at a third crisis party. Let's go.
Bucky Ducky said, Brett, you're very interesting. You just have a smaller following on X. Mary gets more X engagement because she's a cute ghost lady. It ain't fair. Hey, I'm interesting.
You're an
Not
interesting
really. I
cute
don't
ghost lady.
post at all.
It's and me and Mary don't post enough on X but you do have a large following there, but it is what it is.
Boosted Yogi said RDJ for Kang the Conqueror.
Did you see the Photoshop?
There is no amount of money.
Okay, so they did the Photoshop where they took his character from Tropic Thunder in the blackface and put it on Kang the Conqueror. It's so good. It's so good.
I get what you mean now. Corey Anderson said, why do women always take selfies in public bathroom mirrors? Let's brainstorm this. Do you do that?
I think I have maybe done it once when there was a full body mirror.
Or the neon sign behind the grass background at the restaurant.
Oh yeah, that's very Miami.
Yeah.
Like every restaurant in Miami had one of those.
I don't like
Also,
that.
Mary once told me that women don't take selfies over brunch. And look, it is true that there's always a video where there's a table of women at brunch, and some girl goes to each girl and they all pose with their food.
I'm not one of those kind of girls.
But I bet you've been there when somebody's been doing it, and then you're expected to make some cutesy face.
No, they know to not include me.
they pan down right past you.
You just splash them with your drink. They pan to you.
If I'm out to brunch with you, you know me well enough to.
Well, the lighting in public bathrooms is sometimes nicer than the ones in our own houses. Organized Business Services said, I met Epstein in North Palm Beach a couple times. He was very strange back in 2002 in my office. I thought he was gay. He wanted me to launder money.
Well, so are you just
are you joking?
Are you bigoted and you're like, I'd launder your money, but you're gay, so I'm not going to do that? Because that's not very nice either. That's not good either.
Mm-hmm. I need to know more. Tell us more details of this encounter. The red-nosed rain derp said, we need a balding Aquaman with a beer gut to combat toxic beauty standards. Who am I kidding? We can only play that card for the ladies on screen.
Look, I want
Amber Heard and Nicole Kidman have they're skinny and beautiful.
I don't want any fat women in Hollywood. I just want nothing but hot women and nothing but the guys should be handsome.
The chicks love Jason Momoa.
So no, like I'm down for like no fatties. I'm Jordan Peterson.
A post, I think it was Seamus, like from Freedom Tunes, who responded to this viral meme that was basically like, you know what? Let them make everyone and everything ugly. Maybe it'll incentivize the guys in their mid-30s living in their mom's basement to go outside and actually talk to real women when they see beautiful women.
It won't matter because that will never stop the porn industry, which will be full of women that are...
You never know. Maybe it'll trickle down into the porn industry as well.
The OnlyFans models will still be there to get all the business, unfortunately.
John Bert said, I will only simp for one cat. # justice for Mocha.
Unfortunately, there will never be that derpy, stupid, ugly, rotten cat on
Not
this
triggered
channel.
rotten.
It will never be there. You can keep trying. You can super chat all you want. You can give us money to say it, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm sorry.
If you give me money to say it, I'll say it.
Quite Blackfield said, Salem doesn't get any credit. Ever wonder why we didn't have any witches around for 400 years? Because they got rid of all of them. Hashtag Salem did nothing wrong.
Okay then. Okay then.
Laveria 1024 said, breaking news, listicle author still resents absentee father after 25 years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Also, like a lot of, feel like a lot of them.
Thank you guys.
TV has kind of conditioned everyone. TV has conditioned everyone to think that their life is going to be something storybook, even if it's a ridiculous story, even if it's a convoluted story. And the way it's kind of like how in the movies and the television shows, like there was this show called Leverage where and I love the show, but every character is like screwed by a millionaire or a billionaire, and the crew of good guys comes together, and the bad guy always ends up losing his money, and the person gets helped, and they get all this money. And there's always this quick, easy 45-minute solution to these problems. And people think that that's how the real world is actually going to work for them, and it's not.
And it's always someone very mediocre.
Yes.
Shane H. Wilder said, oh no, a Daily Wire children's show with a dad doing what a dad is supposed to do. Whatever will we do? LOL.
Yeah, it's very sad that
It's a big problem in society, TV shows with
we
dads
live in a
them.
society.
We do. The Ninja Bear said, it's nuclear, not nuclear. Jeez, Brent.
I saw that. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I say a bunch of words either wrong or with an accent that people don't approve of, and you could build monuments to how little I care.
Yeah.
So I'm
Is-
sorry.
is it Colorado or Colorado?
It's Colorado. It's Colorado.
Colorado.
It's not Colorado.
Rad. Okay.
I don't care what anyone says. There's no H in there. It's not Rado.
It's Colorado.
It's Colorado.
There doesn't need to be an H. It's just Colorado.
So you guys can keep bullying me. It's fine. I can take it.
Dane's pronunciation is worse.
There you go.
So.
Colorado.
It's fine.
DCNC said, Mary, it's fine to be bored by Amber Heard these days, but let's not forget a big part of the trial was Depp's testimony about his finger being severed by Amber throwing a liquor bottle.
His what?
I do remember that.
Like she threw a liquor bottle at him and it cut he basically had his finger severed from her. She's a bad person, but it's like, look.
That is nothing compared to the psychological torture that he was likely subjected to in that relationship. Red Nose Rain Derp said, are we pretending Instagram isn't a dating app? I don't think I'm pretending. I just don't view Instagram as a dating app.
I'm not like
you guys?
I'm not randomly inundated by tons of women looking to go out on dates. So shocking, I know.
But even if the women are,
I don't think women
like,
view it that way.
Sarah,
but I guess most guys do.
Do you know women that they just get there and they get tons of requests for dates, or do they get requests for? Oh, I do. Okay, so I do love the meme that the guy posts. It's like, "Mommy, how did you and Dad meet?" It's like, "Oh, he hit the fire emoji on my story post."
said no one ever, and we'll say no one ever.
No one ever, guys. You gotta use a different one. You gotta hit him with a different one, or you get the fire emoji, but you don't hit the button emoji. You actually send an emoji to the message thing. So yeah, guys, step your game up. But what is the actual response supposed to be? Woman posts alluring photo of her. What's the guy supposed to say? Or is she just because? Are we supposed to pretend like she doesn't want somebody to respond? She wants somebody to respond. You don't post the bikini photo if you don't want somebody to respond. Right. So why did she post it? Is it because the fire emoji isn't creative enough? Sure, fine. But what is the message that actually would have worked?
The fire emoji is supposed to mean you're hot.
Yes.
Like fire. That's what the fire emoji implies.
You're supposed to enjoy it but not respond, so that she doesn't feel like a hoe for posting it, but she still gets the attention.
But then she doesn't know she got the attention.
That's the psychology of
she knows she got the attention because she can look at who viewed the story.
Instead of her body count, it's her view count.
Yeah.
What's your view count?
But like, even if women get tons of messages of guys who want to like date or hook up with them or whatever, they're not usually responding to those guys. So it's not really a very functional dating app.
True.
Gordon Shumway said LinkedIn is a dating app for boomers. Is that true? I
think
have
I've heard
heard
that
this.
before.
LinkedIn is an app for psychopaths. That's what LinkedIn is.
I think that trolling on LinkedIn is the next phase. I want this to become a trend where we just post the same things on LinkedIn that we would post on Twitter.
Somebody should I'm with Olivia Claire. She says, "Post you are hot." That's what I'm gonna start doing. Just the letter U, the letter R.
Period.
Hot.
Period.
You are hot. Fire emoji, and then kissy face. Like I feel like Ken from the Barbie movie would have this down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's something you'd post on MySpace.
You gotta bring the Ken. You gotta
MySpace
bring the
flirt.
Kenergy.
Not that Jon Stewart said, Shane H. Wilder said, I tried Catholic Match. It was a waste of time. All I'll say is I realize how loosely people use the term Catholic. LOL, I'd rather meet someone IRL. Well, I think that on Catholic Match, you're able to filter for who agrees with you on church teachings. So you're able to hit like, don't show me any profiles that disagree with me about abortion, which is something that you can't do on any other dating app. So that's a pretty cool feature if you were considering getting back on there. Not that Jon Stewart said, oh no, we already read that one. Justin G said, poll, what would be more offensive in 2023? AOL chat room or Modern Warfare 2 lobby?
Modern Warfare 2 lobby, probably. Speaking of which, I ended the poll. I said, we asked, have you guys ever used a dating app? 54% say no, 45% say yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Pretty split.
50-50, yeah.
Yep.
Almost exact.
Shane H. Wilder said $500 a month in this economy?
In this economy?
People with too much free time and too much disposable income, that's for sure. Gordon
Wannabe
Shumway
dinks.
said,
They're wannabe dinks.
yeah,
Aspiring dinks.
trying to find my fellow dink, trying to find my dink soulmate. Gordon Shumway said, actually, a liberal girl turning a conservative guy liberal does fall under the Beauty and the Beast fantasy.
I suppose there's always the women who want to meet guys in prison. I can change him.
Yeah, but that's different than like political views. There are plenty of women who want to like fix men.
Yeah.
Red-Nosed Rainderp said, trad wife test, tell her you'll marry if you can move to a place like the Philippines where divorce isn't on the books. The trad act will fall away.
Okay, then.
Bucky Ducky said, I've had to put down more of my own animals than I would have liked to. That's part of living on a farm. People need to learn where food comes from.
Yep.
And clearly they don't know. He also said, Mary, are you really down to go on Gamermaids? Sara is cool with coming on PCC, but thinks you're lying about going on Gamermaids if she comes on here.
Oh,
Did she
me,
say
Sara.
Not the other Sara,
Yeah.
not this Sara. So she said that on Gamermaids? We're going to start like a PCC versus Gamermaids beef.
It's gonna be he said, she said.
So she
beef.
thinks I'm a liar.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm gonna egg this beef on, even though it's probably not real.
Look, I'm just saying PCC happens earlier in the day. She's going to need to be on the show first, and then I will agree to do Gamermaids.
There you go.
Disco Jensen, should I read this one or not, Brett?
I mean, depends
In the
on how much
interest
you,
of our YouTube channel, I might not.
you know, we acknowledge you like Roman Reigns.
I acknowledge you, but I'm not going to read your super chat.
I do
Nanners.
love seeing where you draw the line, because there's certain ones where right off the bat you're like, I will not say this one. This one you're like, I don't know. Should I say this one? Who knows?
Dubby Nanners said, Mary as Black Widow in the hallway scene and Brett is a guard. Meme it.
No.
I don't know what
No.
scene that is.
Well, I'll show you. She beats the crap out of basically Black Widow can beat the crap out of any guard.
Okay.
In any Marvel movie.
I wouldn't.
Captain America,
I
Winter
wouldn't do
Soldier in particular. My favorite are the ones from Captain America, Winter Soldier, or was that Civil War? Right when they're on the ship. That might be Civil War. No, that's Winter Soldier. It's right at the beginning of the movie. Maybe we'll watch that tonight. I don't have Disney Plus, so I'll have to find other means.
Yeah, don't get Disney Plus. Organized Business Services said, launder money through my real estate investing company, Mary. I can't tell if you're telling me to do that or if you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein wanted to launder money through your real
Wait,
estate
wasn't
investing
he doing
company.
the money laundering for other people?
Yeah, now I'm confused. Like, how did he need your help? Also, did he just come up to you and he was like, "Hi, I'm Jeffrey Epstein. Would you like to launder some of my money?" I don't know. I just need more details.
Would you help me cook the books?
I want to know how this went down. Just play by play for us. Potatoes for Seamus said, "Let's go." Haven't seen Potatoes for Seamus in a minute.
Potatoes!
It's good to see you. DCNC said, "Gamermaids versus PCC. Fight, fight, fight. We'll win every time. We have more gumption." Are we done with the super chats?
No, there's one more here from Bucky Ducky. He says, "Prove you ain't lie by playing Halo with them today." Do that, Mary.
I'm not going on Gamermaids until Sarah comes on Pop Culture Crisis. Like, that's just the rule, okay?
We got one more here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, "Bucky trying to start a Timcast media civil war."
Civil war.
Yep,
we love that here.
Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video? Please subscribe to this channel. We passed 88,000 subscribers, and I really want to see if we can get this channel to 90,000 before the new year. That means that when the new year comes, we're on our way to 100,000 subscribers, which we are very excited about. So thank you so much for that. Sarah, thank you so much as always.
Thank you guys for having me on. You can check us out on castbrew.com. Follow us on Twitter at castbrewcoffee. If you have any questions about the 35% off discount code, please go to our Twitter before you email me, because I just can't keep up anymore. We're drowning in the emails out here. But yeah, buy our coffee and support us.
If you have questions for PCC, don't email us either, because I'm just not going to read it.
I'm not reading that.
We got a couple more here. One's from Bucky Ducky. He says, "No, Shane, I'm trying to get them to be friends." Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And one more from Potatoes for Seamus. He says, "Hi, Queen Mary."
Hi, Potatoes.
There you go.
Hello.
Mary, let them know where they can find you.
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. And if you guys would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. One more here from Courier626 says, "Good stuff today." Well,
There's another one from DCNC, Justice for Magical Disco Jensen.
There will be none of
and
that.
another one from Potatoes for Seamus. We're in a bit of a hostage party. He said, "Brett rules, but with one T in
Brett
Brett."
with one T is not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's just Brent
not a real
without the
name.
N. It's fake. It's not real. It's people looking to hide their identity or something. It's just not real. Don't name your kids Brett with one T. It's bad. So guys, at Brett Dasovic on both Instagram and on Twix. PCC is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you'd like to listen rather than watch. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.